National Assembly passes 4 key bills. Public debt and procurement reforms take center stage. Nepal's Prime Minister Shah meets contractors. Government pledges support for construction sector reforms. Heavy rainfall alert issued for Western Nepal. Authorities warn of flood risks. Monsoon disasters killed dozens across India. Tropical storm Maisak flooding claims lives in China. US and Iran exchange fresh strikes. Strait of Hormuz tensions escalate. And France to face Morocco in the World Cup quarter-final. Historic clash set for early Thursday. Good evening. I'm Smita Gising Tamang and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo, and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal's National Assembly has passed 4 key bills advancing legislation on public procurement, health sciences, public debt recovery and finance. The Upper House today unanimously approved the Public Procurement Second Amendment Bill 2083 and the bill to amend some Nepal Acts relating to Institute of Health Sciences 2083 while endorsing the National Debt Recovery Bill 2083 by majority vote and passing the Finance Bill 2083. The measures which were received from the House of Representatives will now return to the lower house after the National Assembly endorsed amendments where applicable. During the debate, Finance Minister Swarnim Wagle said Nepal's public debt has reached about 3 trillion Nepali rupees, approximately $22 billion, adding that government borrowing should be directed towards productive development projects and debt repayment. Lawmakers said the Public Procurement Bill is intended to make government contracting more transparent, efficient and results-oriented. Nepal's government has briefed the parliament on its first 100 days in office, saying it has advanced governance reforms, anti-corruption measures and digital public service delivery under Prime Minister Balendra Shah's administration. Government spokesperson and Education and Sports Minister Sashmit Pokhrel told lawmakers that the government had introduced policy and legal reforms, streamlined ministries, expanded merit-based appointments, launched investigations into alleged illicit assets and reduced public spending. Meanwhile, in today's session, lawmakers urged the government to address key public concerns, including agriculture, healthcare, drinking water, roads, foreign employment, electricity expansion, and disaster management. They also called for action against foreign employment fraud, wild elephant threats, and the improvement of public services. Opposition parties continue protests over a border dispute, demanding clarification from Prime Minister Balendra Shah and the removal of his remarks from parliamentary records. The government also tables annual reports of the Attorney General's Office and the Anti-Corruption Authority in the Parliament. Nepal's Prime Minister Balendra Shah has held talks with representatives of the Federation of Contractors Associations of Nepal, focusing on challenges facing the country's construction sector and broader economic reforms. During the meeting at the Prime Minister's office in Kathmandu, Shah described the construction industry as a key driver of economic growth, employment and infrastructure development, saying the government is committed to addressing the sector's concerns. Industry representatives raised issues including delayed government payments, contract extensions, procurement management, project implementation delays, price adjustment mechanisms and difficulties related to banking and investment. They also called for stronger cooperation between the government and the private sector to revive the construction industry and accelerate infrastructure projects. Senior officials attending the meeting included the Prime Minister's Chief Advisor Kumar Byanjankar, Information and Communication Technology Advisor Vivek Mishra, and Chief Personal Secretary Subhash Sharma. One of the biggest challenges for the near two-thirds majority government of RSP, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, is reviving the economy. Boosting the confidence of domestic investors and attracting foreign investment by simplifying the administrative hassles is the only way forward towards a recovery. Prime Minister Balendra Shah himself has started direct dialogue with business community that has renewed hopes.
One of the key agendas of the 100-point work plan of the government is economic recovery and improving the environment for investment. Exactly after completing 100 days at the office, Prime Minister Balendra Shah has started direct dialogue with the private sector. Prime Minister Shah has initiated discussions with industrialists and business leaders to make economic reforms, investment promotion, and public-private cooperation more result-oriented. On Tuesday and Wednesday, Prime Minister Shah held consecutive meetings with representatives of major umbrella organizations of the business community. The discussions focused on creating an investment-friendly environment, policy reforms, increasing production, and accelerating economic activities.
मर्यादित वातावरणकै कुरा आयो अलिकति केही डर त्रास धेरै उद्यमी व्यवसायमा छ कि सरकार धरपकड गरिरहेछ भन्ने कुरा त्यसको लागि उहाँले स्पष्ट भन्नुभयो धरपकड गर्ने सरकारको कुनै नीति पनि छैन नियत पनि छैन र निजी क्षेत्रको लागि मर्यादित वातावरण काम गर्ने वातावरण बनाउन सरकार कटिबद्ध पनि छ तत्कालको लागि के सुझाव हो भन्दाखेरि हामीले कि यदि निजी क्षेत्रलाई कुनै पनि त्यस्तो यो इन्भेस्टिगेसनको दौरानमा धरपकड नगरिकन एउटा बरु अदालतबाट एन्टिसिपेटरी बेल अग्रिम जमानतको व्यवस्था भइदियो भने यसले निजी क्षेत्रलाई नि धेरै ठुलो एउटा कन्फिडेन्स बिल्डअप हुन्छ अहिलेको अवस्थामा.
The Prime Minister also expressed his commitment to advancing the private sector as a leading partner in the country's economic development, production growth, and job creation. On Thursday, Prime Minister assured construction entrepreneurs that the government would address issues related to extending payment deadlines, contract management, timely implementation of projects, price adjustment, banking-related problems, and other challenges facing the sector.
अध्यादेशबाट आगो खरिद ऐनमा हामीले असन्तुष्टि राखेका थियौं त्यो असन्तुष्टिलाई उहाँले चाहिँ अध्ययन गरेर अहिलेको यो जुन प्रतिस्थापन विधेयक छ हाउसमा पुगेको छ त्यसलाई धेरै सम्बोधन गरिसकेको स्थिति छ उहाँले चाहिँ क्षणिक हैन कि दीर्घकालीन रूपमा नै प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई कसरी सपोर्ट गर्न सकिन्छ र प्राइभेट सेक्टरबाट फेरि राष्ट्रलाई कसरी फाइदा पुग्न सक्छ भन्ने कुरामै हाम्रो छलफल रह्यो.
Business leaders have drawn the government's attention to legal complexities related to economic offenses, procedural hurdles, barriers to expanding investment, and practical difficulties in running businesses. Prime Minister Shah assured them that the suggestions received would be carefully reviewed and that necessary reforms and facilitation measures would be introduced. The government also plans to continue consultations with stakeholders from the information technology, tourism, and other sectors in the coming days. The private sector believes that this dialogue has created new optimism and environment of trust among investors. With camera person Pradyumna Dhungel and Siva Pangini, Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
Let's take a break here. We shall be back with more updates too. Stay tuned at NTV World. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Now the remaining updates. Heavy monsoon rainfall has triggered another landslide along Nepal's Mechi Highway, completely halting traffic at the Rajduwali section. Repair work was already underway, but fresh rainfall has delayed efforts to reopen the route. The section has remained vulnerable since a major disaster last October. Authorities have diverted some vehicles through alternative routes while continuing efforts to restore traffic. The disruption highlights growing concerns over monsoon-related risks across Nepal. Nepal's Weather Forecasting Division has issued a heavy rainfall alert for parts of western Nepal, including Palpa. Authorities warn that intense rainfall is likely in the region, with further heavy showers expected across western areas from tomorrow. Meteorologists say most parts of the country may experience light to moderate rain today, while some areas in western Nepal could see heavy rainfall through Sunday. People living near rivers and flood-prone areas have been urged to remain alert due to possible flooding risks. With the monsoon intensifying, the Dading District Administration has stepped up disaster preparedness along the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways. Authorities have identified 21 landslide and flood-prone locations and designated 18 holding centers to accommodate stranded travelers if road closures occur. The centers will provide temporary shelter, food, drinking water, and basic medical care under the supervision of local authorities. Officials have also urged travelers to check weather forecasts before setting out, warning that road sections under construction remain highly vulnerable to disasters. Local governments and emergency agencies have been directed to keep personnel, equipment, and essential services. Beyond transport disruptions, the monsoon is also affecting Nepal's agricultural sector, where delayed rains have slowed seasonal farming activities. Nepal's Agriculture Ministry says rice planting is expected to gain pace after recent rainfall following delays caused by a late monsoon. The ministry has prioritized clearing pending payments to dairy and sugarcane farmers. Officials also said bird flu-affected farmers have received 510 million Nepali rupees in compensation so far.
हामी अहिले यहाँ आएको चाहिँ 3 महिना जति भयो। विशेष गरेर हामीसँग 3 तहको सरकार छ। 3 तहको सरकारको सहकार्यमा हामीले केन्द्र सरकारले चाहिँ मल आपूर्ति गर्ने काम गर्छ भने स्थानीय सरकार, प्रदेश सरकारले वितरणको काम गर्छ। सबैजना चाहिँ मिलेर नै हामीले 3 तहकै सरकारले काम गरिरहेका छौं र फर्टिलाइजरमा हाम्रो एउटा डेडिकेटेड टिमले नै काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ। हामीले कालो बजारी कहीँ कतै भेटाउनु भयो भने हामीलाई खबर गर्नुस्। त्यसमा हामी कारबाही गर्न कति पनि डगमग हुँदैन। आगामी दिनमा त्यो सबै सुरक्षाको खाद्य सुरक्षाको कुरालाई पनि मध्यनजर गर्दै हामीले हामीसँग भएका बाहिरबाट बसिराख्नु भएको डायस्पोरा, हामी यही भएका युवाहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी त्यो बाँझो खेतमा चाहिँ खेतीपाती गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ कार्ययोजना पनि बनाइराखेका छौं। हामीले किसानलाई कसरी सिँचाइ पुर्याउन सकिन्छ, कसरी कलेक्टिभ रूपमा काम गर्न सकिन्छ, विशेष गरेर दुई तीनवटा कुरामा चाहिँ हामीले नीतिगत रूपमा चाहिँ अस्ति मात्र छलफल भएको छ। सिँचाइ र कृषिलाई चाहिँ जोडेर त्यहाँ हामीले त्यो प्रोजेक्टमा काम गरेका छौं र सक्सेसफुल मोडल हो। त्यो मोडललाई चाहिँ अरु पनि ठूला आयोजनाहरुमा कसरी ल्याउन सकिन्छ त भन्ने कुरामा अस्ति मात्र छलफल भएको छ र सिँचाइ मन्त्रीज्यू र म हामी सानैले चाहिँ अब फिल्डमा गएर त्यसको अनुगमन गर्ने तयारीमा पनि छौं। विशेष गरेर अब उद्योग फस्टाउनु पर्छ। उद्योग अरु उद्योग मात्र होइन, उत्पादनसँग जोडिएको उद्योग फस्टायो भने मात्र नेपालको किसानहरूले चाहिँ सही मूल्य पाउने अवस्था रहन्छ। त्यसका निमित्त अब राज्यले नै सरकारले नै औद्योगिक क्षेत्रहरू अथवा कस्तो खालको उद्योग कहाँ खोल्ने र कुन कच्चा पदार्थ कुन क्षेत्रमा छन् भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ हामीले त्यसको निर्णय निकालेर आगामी दिनमा त्यसको लागि चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्न खोजिरहेछौं।
The ministry added that compensation has been provided to bird flu-affected farmers, while pending payments to dairy and sugarcane farmers remain a priority. A health screening campaign in Tulsipur sub-metropolitan city of Dang in western Nepal has revealed an alarming risk of cervical and breast cancer among women. HPV DNA tests conducted on 360 women in Jesta of Nepali calendar confirmed HPV infection in 38 cases. In Asar of the Nepali calendar, screening of another 332 women found 4 suspected cases of cervical cancer who have been referred to Rapti Provincial Hospital for further diagnosis. 4 women with suspected breast cancer, 4 with advanced uterine prolapse and 12 with early stage prolapse have also been referred for treatment. Health officials say increased awareness has encouraged more women to undergo screening, allowing diseases to be detected earlier and treated more effectively. Time again for a short break. We shall see you back with international updates. At least 80 people have died across several Indian states after days of intense monsoon rainfall triggered floods, landslides and widespread disruption. Maharashtra has been the worst affected, with at least 62 deaths reported over the past week. In Gujarat's Surat city, 13 people were killed within 2 days due to heavy rains. Torrential downpours have flooded roads, damaged property, uprooted trees and disrupted transport in major cities, including New Delhi, where authorities issued a red alert after severe waterlogging. In Maharashtra's Pimpri-Chinchwad near Pune, rescue teams are searching for victims after a waste-to-energy plant collapsed following a garbage landslide. Kerala's Wayanad region is also facing landslide risks, with rescue operations continuing as more heavy rainfall is expected in several parts of the country. Meanwhile, in China, at least 39 people have died in southern China after flooding caused by tropical storm Maysak triggered widespread destruction. Authorities in Guangxi region say 26 people were killed after a dam breach sent torrents of water through parts of Nanning city following record rainfall. Around 130,000 people have been evacuated, while thousands of rescuers, boats and drones are being used in search and relief operations. More than 8,000 people and about 5,700 boats have been deployed in the rescue operation, with rescuers battling strong currents and debris to reach victims. Heavy rains have battered the region for days, causing severe flooding, landslides and damage to homes and infrastructure. Rescue teams are continuing efforts to reach stranded residents and clear mud and debris from affected areas. The United States and Iran traded strikes second straight night for the second day running as Washington and Tehran battled over the strategic Strait of Hormuz. The vital oil shipping corridor is a flashpoint in the Middle East war, with Tehran insisting on control of the strait despite it being open to free passage before the US-Israeli attacks in February. After the foes traded wire on Wednesday, US President Donald Trump said the ceasefire with Iran was over, but left the door open to more talks and added that any strikes would end quickly. US forces said the latest attacks against Iran were aimed at their ability to threaten the freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, citing recent strikes against commercial ships in the waterway. Iran's chief negotiator said Thursday that Strait of Hormuz would be opened only under Iranian arrangements. Since the US-Israeli strikes triggered war in February, Tehran has insisted on controlling the strait, saying it will charge fees for passage and threatening to hit vessels that deviate from its authorized route. Its military struck at least 3 ships in recent days, prompting extensive US strikes against Iranian targets on Tuesday. The latest strikes come just ahead of the Thursday burial of Ali Khamenei, Iran's former supreme leader, who was killed at the outbreak of the war on February 28. At least 600 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DR Congo, have died from Ebola as the number of confirmed cases of the illness rose to 1,759 according to government data. The total numbers released on Wednesday were confirmed as of Tuesday, while 51 new cases and 20 deaths were recorded in the previous 24 hours. The total of those infected does not include 2 cases of illness reported in Kisangani, the capital of the Tsopo province and one of the DRC's biggest cities, as the test results were being validated, the government's report said. They will be included in the official case total once confirmed. One of those 2 cases is linked to the village of Nia Nia in the Ituri province, where the first illnesses were reported. However, the second illness does not appear to have a geographic link beyond Kisangani, according to the government. As the situation worsens, healthcare workers in the Ituri province, the hardest hit of the country's 3 eastern regions affected by the outbreak, are walking off their jobs to protest against delay in payments. Let's take a short breather here. We'll be back with more from International. South Korea's highest court on Thursday, July 9, upheld ex-President Yoon Suk-yeol's 7-year prison sentence over crimes tied to his botched 2024 martial law declaration and its chaotic aftermath. The case covered accusations that Yoon had obstructed cabinet deliberations and used forged signatures of the Prime Minister in the lead up to the 2024 declaration, as well as using presidential security agents to block his own arrest after lawmakers had nullified it. The disgraced former president is already in detention while he appealed a separate life sentence for leading an insurrection with his martial law declaration, which he insists was motivated by the public interest. In the case brought before the Supreme Court, Yoon was accused of obstructing deliberations by convening only a select group of ministers for a meeting shortly before he declared martial law. Yoon's legal team expressed deep regret, accusing the Supreme Court of concluding the case without sufficient deliberation. The ex-president's lawyers plan to challenge the ruling on constitutional grounds and said they would raise a complaint. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he clinched a uranium supply agreement while visiting Australia on Thursday, securing a fuel source that will play a crucial role in his nation's nuclear energy ambitions. Faced with an almost insatiable appetite for electricity in the world's most populous nation, Modi has outlined plans to substantially scale up nuclear power generation in the coming years. Australia lays claim to around 28% of the world's uranium resource, but legal hurdles and political sensitivities have hindered exports to India. The exports would fall under a safeguard established by the International Atomic Energy Agency. India and Australia entered a nuclear cooperation agreement in 2015 that paved the way for uranium exports. India and Australia have grown considerably closer in recent years, partly driven by a joint desire to keep Beijing's military ambitions in check while cultivating trading partners outside China. Modi and Albanese also agreed to strengthen defense cooperation and bolster supply chains for critical minerals. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) on Wednesday projected that global growth will slow to 3.0% in 2026 before recovering to 3.4% in 2027. This is down from the average global growth rate of 3.5% in 2024-2025, however broadly unchanged compared with the IMF forecast published in its April 2026 World Economic Outlook report. The moderate slowdown reflects the effect of the war in the Middle East being partly offset by accelerated demand-driven momentum in the global technology cycle thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and its adoption, the July report said. Meanwhile, the IMF predicted that China's economy will grow by 4.6% in 2026 and 4.1% in 2027, representing upward revisions of 0.2 and 0.1 percentage points respectively compared to the previous projections in April. The global lender noted that China's economy performed faster than expected in the first quarter of 2026, primarily driven by front-loaded public infrastructure investment and a surge in high-tech manufacturing and exports. The IMF also pointed out that rising global oil prices, continued uncertainties, and structural factors are expected to continue to exert some drag on China's economic activities. A United Nations investigation has concluded that Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, committed genocide in the western city of El Fasher through mass killings, gang rapes, and the deliberate starvation of civilians. The UN fact-finding mission for Sudan says the atrocities were part of a systematic and intentional campaign during and after the RSF's siege of the North Darfur state capital.
On Sudan, the UN fact-finding mission for Sudan said a new report which provides more evidence that atrocities committed by warring parties in North African nation constitutes distinct markers of genocide. The report states that Sudan's Rapid Support Forces carried out brutal attacks against civilians, including mass killings, systematic abduction of women and girls, mass gang rapes in El Fasher. The fact-finding mission warned that similar patterns of violence and devastation are now emerging in El Obeid, where it is launching an urgent inquiry into alleged human rights violations and abuses, and that is following a resolution passed by the Human Rights Council earlier this week. The fact-finding mission reiterated its call for effective accountability, including prompt cooperation with and action by the International Criminal Court. As civilians continue to bear the brunt of the conflict, the fact-finding mission will continue its investigations and report on the situation in and around El Obeid to the Human Rights Council and the General Assembly, as it is mandated to do.
Now the sports update. France and Morocco will meet in the opening quarterfinal of the FIFA World Cup 2026 on Thursday, with the match set to begin at 1:45 a.m. Nepal time. France reached the last eight after a 1-0 victory over Paraguay in the round of 16, while Morocco defeated Canada 3-0 to secure their place. Morocco, who became the first African nation to reach a World Cup semi-final after beating Portugal in 2022, are aiming to repeat their historic run. The winner of the match will face either Spain or Belgium in the semi-final. And before we wind up, here are the headlines one more time. National Assembly passes 4 key bills. Public debt and procurement reforms take center stage. Prime Minister meets contractors. Government pledges support for construction sector reforms. Heavy rainfall alert issued for Western Nepal. Authorities warn of flood risks. Monsoon disasters kill dozens across India. Tropical storm Maysak flooding claims lives in China. US and Iran exchange fresh strikes. Strait of Hormuz tensions escalate. And France to face Morocco in World Cup quarterfinal. Historic clash set for early Thursday. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Khom Bahadur Tamang, a gifted Thanka artist from the spiritual heart of Buddha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
थाङ्का चाहिँ मैले 1970 सिक्न सुरुवात गरेको मेरो टिचर चाहिँ म भन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो साइला दाइ मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो पाटन भक्तपुर छामेल दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्का चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, Khom brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thanka painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन 5 मिनेट 10 मिनेटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो एउटा मात्रै थियो अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्का चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आम ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि कुनै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Buddha, Khom Bahadur Tamang has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामछाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन कलेज छैन अस्पताल छैन रोजगार छैन त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेशा गरेर दाल भात खाएको अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ दिउँसो काम छैन त्यस कारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेको छ उहाँको स्किल अन्त टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यहीँ तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसको कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा मैले पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेको छ अहिले
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यु लिन्छु त्यसपछि एक हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो र क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु अनि एक हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घण्टामा 1 घण्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ म सक्दैन ढाड दुख्यो किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो त्यो सक्दैन उ आउँदैन एक दिन पनि आउँदैन मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो हामीले अपाङ्गले पनि सिकाएको छ जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तै हो
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn, studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thanka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्धिज्म नेपाल हो नेपालमा जति छन् विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बद छ यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपबाट भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन तर यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान या चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिभ यहाँ छ जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यतिकै ठाउँको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले जस्तो मेरै कुरा मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति ठाउँको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धिज्म थिएन, विदेशीहरूले जानेकै थिएन। उनीहरूले त्यो सुरसुर आउँदाखेरि सानो तिनी एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मात्रै लाग्थ्यो। अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका, युरोप, तपाईँको यो सिङ्गापुर, ताइवान, मलेसिया, विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। त्यस कारणले भविष्यमा यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ छ, यसको मार्केट छ।
As an artist, entrepreneur, and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others, and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो। अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ, सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो। त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि, जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ। त्यो त निश्चित हो नि, एउटै निश्चित छैन, कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन। तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मैले। मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ। मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ, मैले ठुलो पत्यारो चढ्यो, ठुलो गाडी त्यस्तो होइन, तर मलाई खुसी छ। सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ, मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ। यही थाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो, युरोप गयो, चाइना घुम्यो, बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ। सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसाको आपत पनि परेन। थाङ्गा सँगसँगै लान्दै ब्रिफिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो। त्यस कारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त पनि।
Inside the quiet courtyard of Baber Mahal, colors seem to breathe on their own. This is Siddharth Art Gallery, home to some of Nepal's most defining contemporary art movements. Today, the gallery opens its doors to Mithila Cosmos, a universe imagined through the brush of artist S.C. Suman, a name inseparable from the evolution of gallery space.
म आफ्नो बच्चैदेखि हजुरआमालाई हेर्दै थिएँ। भित्तामा उहाँ कोर्नुहुन्थ्यो। अब भित्तामा कोर्दै जाँदाखेरि उहाँलाई हेर्दै आएँ र त्यसपछि म बालकालदेखि नै स्कुल जाँदा अनि फुलहरू हेर्दा मलाई हजुरआमाले पेन्टिङ गर्नुहुन्छ, त्यसमा रङ बनाउनुहुन्छ भनेर म उहाँको लागि बाटोमा खसेका फुलहरू ल्याएर उहाँलाई दिन्थेँ र उहाँलाई भन्थेँ कि ल यसबाट पनि रङ बनाउनुहोस्, यसबाट पनि पेन्टिङ गर्नुहोस्। अनि यो कुरा मलाई एकदम सहजै प्र्याक्टिसमा आएको जस्तो लाग्यो र उहाँको पछि उहाँ भित्ताहरू रङाउँदाखेरि पेन्टिङहरू गर्दाखेरि म उहाँलाई छोडेर कतै जाँदैनथेँ र मलाई पनि काम गर्न दिनुहोस् भनेर उहाँ कहिले काहीँ दिक पनि मान्नुहुन्थ्यो। कति मलाई माने यो डिस्टर्ब गरेको, तिमी जाऊ खेल भनेर, त्यही पनि म उहाँसँग बस्थेँ। अब उहाँले त्यही पनि उहाँको म बसिरहन्थेँ। उहाँले चाहिँ साइडमा कुनै कुनामा एउटा सानो चित्र बनाइदिनुहुन्थ्यो र यसमा तिमी रङ भर भन्नुहुन्थ्यो। अनि म छिटो रङ भर्थेँ। अनि उहाँले आश्चर्य भन्नुहुन्थ्यो, हेर कति मभन्दा पनि राम्रो रङ भर्दो रहेछ भनेर। अनि यसरी मलाई चाहिँ मिथिला पेन्टिङले नजिक ल्यायो र म त्यो फेरि त्यो गर्न थालेँ।
What we see today is not just an exhibition, it is a lived memory of culture, philosophy, and the changing world around us.
यसरी प्रत्येक घटनासँग जोडिँदै आएर एक्जिबिसन आएको हो र 2021 मा मिथिला कसमस द साइकल अफ टाइम आयो, त्यसपछि त्यो 22मा सक्यो, 22 जनवरीमा सक्यो। र त्यसपछि अहिले आएर यो 25मा यो एक्जिबिसन आयो। त्यो बिचको जुन अब फेरि यसलाई कसरी जोड्ने त, अब जस्तो कि नेपाल एकाडेमी अफ फाइन आर्ट्समा म काउन्सिल मेम्बर हुँदाखेरि मैले आफ्नो देशको लोककलाहरूलाई हेर्न पाएँ। म लोककला विभाग प्रमुख थिएँ होइन। अनि त्यो हेर्दै जाँदाखेरि म पूर्वदेखि पश्चिमसम्म, उत्तरदेखि दक्षिणसम्मका त्यो जिल्लाहरू भ्रमण गरेँ। आफ्ना हाम्रा लोककलाहरूलाई हेरेँ। हाम्रो भनिन्छ हाम्रो देशमा 123 126वटा भाषा बोलिन्छ, त्यसका आफ्ना संस्कृति छन्, आफ्ना चाहिँ रीतिथिति छन्, त्यसभित्रका कलाहरू मैले हेर्न पाएँ। र त्यो सबैले लाई जोड्दै जाँदाखेरि एउटा आर्टिस्टले कसरी त्यो प्रभावित पार्दो रहेछ र त्यो स्टुडियोमा काम गर्दाखेरि त्यो एलिमेन्टहरू हेर्नु र त्यो एलिमेन्टलाई आफ्नो पेन्टिङमा चाहिँ समावेश गर्नु, यो सहज रूपमा त्यो हुँदै जान्छ। र यो सो ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ तलको तल्लामा हामी चाहिँ हेर्छौँ क्यानभास वर्कहरू छ, त्यसमा देवी कथा छन्, गीताका सार छन्, जीवनका त्यो कथाहरू छन्। र त्यसमाथिमा आउँदाखेरि उपत्यकाका कथा छन्, त्यसपछि जनकपुरको रामायण र अयोध्याको कथाहरू छ, रामायणसँग जोडिएको कथा छ, त्यसपछि बौद्ध कथाहरू आएका छन्। त्यो सिरिजहरूलाई कसरी एक ठाउँमा हामी कसरी विभिन्न जाति समुदायहरू एउटा साझा फुलबाडी हो, त्यसभित्रका संस्कृतिका कुराहरू, त्यसभित्रका कुराहरू मैले ल्याउँदाखेरि मलाई त्यो आफैसँग आफूलाई परिचय गराउनु जस्तो र त्यो मैले कलाको माध्यमबाट बुझेर म यो कुरालाई म आफ्ना नयाँ पुस्ताहरूसम्म पनि यो चाहिँ यसरी हो हाम्रो देश, यो मिथिला पेन्टिङ भनेको एउटा समुदाय क्षेत्र समुदायको विशेषको पेन्टिङ होइन, यो नेपाली आर्ट हो। यदि मिथिला पेन्टिङको नेपाली कलाको कुरा गरेँ भने मिथिला पेन्टिङलाई छोडेर त्यो नेपाली आर्ट पुरा हुँदैन भनेर मेरो बुझाइमा मैले यसरी यो एक्जिबिसनले ल्याएको।
Mithila art carries centuries of tradition from Janakpur, from mythological narratives and wedding symbols to intricate floral motifs that speak of life, devotion, and identity. The power of Mithila painting lies in its detail. Every line, every border, every color has a purpose.
के हुन्छ कलाकारले जब घुम्छ ऊ चाहिँ ट्राभल गर्छ, चाहे त्यो देश विदेशको यात्रा होस्, चाहे आफ्नो विषयवस्तु खोजी हिँड्छ, र उसले अनुकरण गर्ने क्षमता मलाई लाग्छ उसँग धेरै हुन्छ। उसको दिमागमा त्यो कुराहरू आइरहेको हुन्छ क्या, त्यो आइरहेको र त्यो कतै न कतै कुनामा बसिरहेको हुन्छ। अब जब स्टुडियोमा बिस्तारै काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि एउटा आर्टवर्कसँग करिब करिब 1 सप्ताह उसले बिताउँछ, चाहे 15 दिनसम्म बिताउँछ त्यो विषयवस्तु र त्यसका त्यो फ्रेम अब्जेक्टहरूमा बिताउँछ। र त्यसमा चाहिँ त्यसको दिमाग त खाली हुँदैन, ऊ सोचिरहन्छ र सोचेर त्यो बिताएका क्षणहरूमा उसले चाहिँ आफ्नो कलाहरूमा त्यसलाई चाहिँ प्रस्कृत गर्दै जान्छ र त्यो अनुभव बटुलेका चिजहरूलाई उसले चाहिँ त्यतिखेर सम्झँदै उसले चाहिँ केही सम्झना आउँछ र केही नयाँ चिज ल्याउँछ। पहिलो एक्जिबिसनहरू गर्दाखेरि त्यो छडिएको हुन्थ्यो, जस्तो विभिन्न पेन्टिङहरूलाई ल्याएर एकै ठाउँमा गएर त्यसको एक्जिबिसन गरिएको जस्तो हुन्थ्यो। त्यसपछि के भयो भने मेरो पहिलो मिथिला सोलो एक्जिबिसनको टाइटल पनि म्याथली आर्ट थियो। त्यसपछि म्याथली आर्ट लिभिङ ट्रेडिसन भनेर आयो। त्यसरी जबसम्म त्यो म्याच्योर हुँदै जान्छ कलाकारले 1-2 स्टेपहरू हुन्छन् त्यो एक्जिबिसनहरूको, त्यसले अनुभव पनि बटुल्छ र बटुल्दै जाँदाखेरि भ्युवर्सहरूसँग भेट्छ, जर्नलिस्टहरू भेट्छ, क्रिटिक्सहरूसँग भेट्दै जाँदाखेरि त्यसको निखार आउँदै जान्छ, साधनाको निखार आउँदै जान्छ र त्यो चाहिँ विषयवस्तुसँग जोडिँदै जान्छ र आज आएर यो फ्रेममा चाहिँ हामी हेर्न पाउँछौँ।
Art becomes complete only when someone responds to it. In this gallery, every viewer sees something different. A memory, a symbol, a question, a reminder. What do the visitors find in this universe of Mithila?
Well, as an academician, I feel that Mithila painting is like a healing process to people. And this exhibition has expressed itself in a very beautiful way, expressing each and every motive which is present over here related to not only mythology, but also related to emotions of the people. And it is like a story work over here. The entire journey of Mithila has been depicted over here, which speaks volumes not only about the artist, but also about each and every object which has been portrayed over here.
Walking through these halls feels like traveling between timelines. The ancient and the modern coexist. Tradition is not frozen in the past. It evolves through those who carry it forward.
We feel like connected to Sumanji's works because he takes approach that's quite respectful, quite engaging and contemplative, and someone who speaks with contemplation, someone who prefers to remain in a discipline and work from the frame of that discipline. He had chosen the Mithila paintings framework, and he remains in that framework, and he stretches, expands the framework, and develops narrative power, descriptive power, that communicative power with that frame. And that's something amazing.
It may appear abstract at first glance, but spend a moment longer and stories begin to unfold of gods and goddesses, rituals and seasons, and the subtle emotions of everyday life. And within this rich visual grammar, Suman adds his own world, shaped by places he has lived, moments he has witnessed, and the history that surrounds him.
He was among the first generation artists of Mithila art. When he started his career from the kind of humble background he was in, with that financial background, very few people could actually make art and Mithila art in particular their primary career. So that is what separates him from other artists in that regard. However, I will also admit that a lot of other artists have also put in their contribution in the upliftment of Mithila art, and Mithila art has grown due to the collective effort of a lot of people.
From Vivaha Panchami in Janakpur to the lotus of Bodhanath, from the cosmic churn of Samudra Manthan to the silence of COVID lockdowns, Suman brings time onto canvas. His lines become memory, his colors become testimony.
Yeah, there are many favorites, you can see that. If you see that there are, each painting says some story. Like this is if you see this, here the wedding, Sita, Mata Sita wedding with the Ram. There is the procession going on. And every painting you will see that there are the nature. The S.C. Suman painting is the nature he captures very nicely. The color combination, you will find very rare artists. That type of eye-catching is that one. Many things are within the one paintings.
Mithila Cosmos reminds us that art is not only what we see, it is what we feel, return to, and carry within ourselves.
I have grown in a Mithila household. I've been very closely connected to the Mithila culture. I have been seeing Mr. Suman's exhibitions since a long time, and this is one of the third or fourth exhibition of his that I've been attending. So yeah, that I obviously know about what kind of paintings he does and what time does he conducts his exhibitions. So this is exactly how I found that he was gonna do an exhibition this year as well.
Has a similar sort of providing blessing sort of artwork in the form of like a lakudwa, which like exists in a door frame. So what he's done in that specific piece is behind a lakudwa is a cobra painting, so like a wedding specific painting. So he's combined these two cultures as part of his, and it's part of his own narrative because he moved from Janakpur to Nepal, so that's what he was trying to convey, the mixing of these two cultures. So yeah, I think the mixing and, you know, like venturing out of your own home place, which is very common these days, and traveling and seeing the world, I think that's, I think the contemporary connection.
Behind every exhibition is a vision that guides how artworks converse with space and audience. Curator Sangeeta Thapa has been a key voice in shaping Nepal's modern and contemporary art landscape.
His first exhibition, Mithila Cosmos, began in 2007, and what we have been seeing is that he is really celebrating the art forms of the Mithila world, along with the myths and legends of the Mahabharata, the Ramayana. And this is something that we see all throughout the different editions of the Mithila Cosmos journey that he has with the Siddhartha Art Gallery. This is his 7th show, and we decided to call it Journey of a Pilgrim because the piety in the exhibition is very apparent, and his knowledge of the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, the myths and legends that we have grown up listening to and learning about, become central to his work. But Sumanji is also talking not only about Mithila art, he's from the Tarai, so he brings in elements from Tharu, Dusad, Salish, different forms of art form from indigenous communities in the Tarai, and he amalgamates it and he really makes it his own. Perhaps the most significant work in this show is called Samudra Manthan, and this is a story which has been visually narrated by so many artists, from Raja Ravi Varma to early 19th century engravings, but he has even amalgamated a Hakusai wave into this art form. So that is a really famous painting, The Wave, and you can see that influence has permeated his wave, his painting. Sumanjiko themes are not only religious. So whether it is the eco-anxiety that we all feel at present, the destruction of Nisgar forest or the Chure hills, he amalgamates all of that. During COVID, he had a specific work which he, asked the question, why were bats blamed for spreading COVID in the world? I mean, was the virus man-made? His belief in nature, the natural cosmology of the world, is something that you will see over and over again in his paintings.
As visitors step out, the colors remain. In imagination, in reflection, and perhaps in rediscovering where heritage meets the present.
When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, the fox's fiance puts on her wedding gown. The fox's fiance puts on her wedding gown. When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, it's time for the fox to tie all his locks. It's time for the fox to tie all his locks. And get hitched with Miss Fox, and get hitched with Miss Fox. Together with his sweetheart, he sits in a golden cart. Together with his sweetheart, he sits in a golden cart. And a big lizard dressed like a wizard becomes a priest. And he says, the two of you shall not part. The two of you shall not part. The elephant trumpets and the deer drums. The raccoons shake their rattles. And his guitar, the tiger's drums. And his guitar, the tiger's special starlings make a sign of love in the air. But all the monkeys don't give a monkey's about this whole affair. But all the monkeys don't give a monkey's about this whole affair. When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, the fox's fiance puts on her wedding gown. The fox's fiance puts on her wedding gown. When it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, when it's a sunny day and the rain is pouring down, it's time for the fox to tie all his locks. It's time for the fox to tie all his locks and get hitched with Miss Fox, and get hitched with Miss Fox.
नमो हिरण्यबाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः।
Every year, approximately 1.19 million people lose their lives in road traffic crashes. 20 to 50 million more suffer injuries, many of which result in lifelong disabilities. Road traffic injuries are now the leading cause of death among children and young adults aged 5 to 29 years. Alarmingly, 92% of these fatalities occur in low and middle-income countries, despite these countries having only about 60% of the world's vehicles. More than half of those killed are among the most vulnerable road users like pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists. Beyond the devastating human cost, road crashes also take a heavy economic toll, costing countries an estimated 3% of their gross domestic product each year. Now, recognizing the urgency of this crisis, the United Nations has set an ambitious goal of reducing by half the global number of deaths and injuries from road traffic crashes, that is by the year 2030. But what do these global figures mean for Nepal? On today's episode of Insight, we will examine what the road safety situation looks like here at home. We'll also try and explore who is most at risk based on socio-economic status and demographic factors, the major risk factors contributing to crashes, the policies and legal frameworks currently in place, and what more needs to be done to prevent these tragedies. We'll also ask a critical question: are our state institutions and emergency systems prepared to respond quickly and effectively when crashes occur? Joining us on today's episode of Insight is public health researcher with a PhD in injury prevention and a focus on public health. Dr. Pushparaj Pant, welcome to Insight.
Thank you, Saraji. Namaste. Thank you for inviting.
In Nepal, as we speak, monsoon has begun. There are a lot of road accidents that we are reporting, we are seeing. In your observation so far, how has the pattern been in our country?
It's not only the monsoon season, actually. It's our a kind of a belief that I hear and the news and people talking like it's the monsoon season or it's the festival season, we will have more crashes. But if you look at the data, it's around phenomena like it's happening because of the system that it works, like who is behind the wheel and how the system, the vehicles are being tested or monitored. This is all about the way how it is managed, actually.
And in your observation, which part of the system is failing mostly? Is it the roads, it's the vehicles, the driver's behavior, enforcement, or emergency response?
If it was that clear answer, or it's a if it was that short answer, it would have been solved so many years ago. In fact, this is a complex problem. Actually, this is a compound. Like we have serious problem in driver licensing. Number one, because you can see the behavior of the drivers, and the other is the vehicles. They are operating on the roads are in different condition. I don't say that they all are in poor condition, but we don't know what condition of the vehicle it is. And the other is about the road surfaces. I don't say there is no improvement, but obviously it also, and the having blacktopped or the paved road is not the road only, that we need some features that guide the drivers, like for example, the proper signpost, traffic signpost, or the lane marking and the lights, those kind of things. So this is all, we're progressing slowly, but it's not adequate, I would say.
So there's a lot of work to do in a lot of aspects for a collective result to be produced. Nepal police data shows that speeding is one of the leading cause for road crashes, as you said. Why does speed remain so difficult to control in practice?
There are two observations, I would say. One is the speed, because high speed or speed over than 70 km per hour, I would say, would have a very high impact that will damage the vehicle as well as the occupant. Or if it is in a motorbike, that's completely, it can be completely fatal. The other thing is our speed, speed in our road is unpredictable. For example, if we look at the urban roads, for example, Kathmandu city or any other cities, the roads are congested, and whenever the driver gets a free road, then they just speed them. And the other way, on the other side, if we think about the vehicles operating in the night or long distances or in a road where there is no policing or any camera or these enforcement, they can go speed any way they want and sometimes beyond their control. And this is happening. And the other thing I would also add, the third one, I have observed that many of the vehicles don't have speedometers. Actually, the driver doesn't know how much speed they are driving. That's why what happens when anything is unpredictable, then it is very dangerous. That's the situation. And the other last thing I can also add here is the drivers are not well informed by the state or the agencies. They look after the roads or the transport management. For example, if you are entering a road section, there is no signpost that how much a maximum speed limit of that road is actually, and where it ends. For example, say if I entered from Narayan Gopal, intersection junction to the north and to the south, I think the speed should be less than it was on the ring road, but there is no sign or nothing. And the way it happens is the drivers are unaware about the speed limit. So when the police, police fines are being implied, then what happens, a certain speed limit is measured on the spot. Maybe that was the time when the driver found the roads are free, and then they want to make up the time they were waiting in the jam or the congestion.
So you think there's a gap in communicating to the general public what they can or cannot do?
Definitely. Actually, the drivers. So if we want to enforce the speed laws, then we must inform the drivers that how much speed they can drive in a particular road. And that doesn't mean that the speed limit in our ring road is 50 km/h. So that's also, I don't think it is appropriate, because this is not a freeway. You are not continuously driving at 50 km/h. I think on average the vehicles are driven around 25 km/h because they have to stop frequently and then go up on to catch up the speed. So what happens when you said why the speed is a problem? Exactly, the vehicle was not moving so fast a minute ago, then after 1 minute it goes right up to 50 or 60. So then there is a high chance of crash, because in that situation what happens, the other vehicle or the driver doesn't know that how much speed that other person will drive, because this is completely unpredictable, that I can say. This is my observation.
And how do you think the authority is being able to implement the rules and regulations? Because we do see traffic police fining violators.
I think this should be done in two ways. One is about urban roads. So that's in urban areas, you have streets and you have commuters, frequent commuters, and you have a not very long distance driving is a relatively short distance. For example, if you enforce like 30 km/h, you don't lose like if it is 30 km/h, say Kathmandu to Pokhara or Kathmandu to Zappa, then they will lose about 3-4 hours, right? If in Kathmandu, it doesn't make sense. Like if you arrive 5 minutes late or before or after, that's the difference. But if you set up 50 km/h speed limit, and someone drives, what if someone drives 30 km only? You know, so the 50 km means they are regulated. No one drives above that limit, but also don't below that limit, so that the traffic is running smoothly. You know, I give an analogy of the ants. You know, the ants, when they going in a convoy, they all move in one speed. You know, like then it looks like it's a very nice convoy. But when you disturb them, say think about one vehicle that is a crossing thoroughfare in the junction, everyone is distracted, and the nice convoy becomes dispersed, and they take so long to convene again. So this is the real problem of speed enforcement.
You mentioned the lack of elements such as speed limit signs during turnings or where they should be. The authorities, they raise billions in traffic fines. How do you think have they managed to properly utilize the revenue that the state collects from these violators?
I think this revenue doesn't go to police. That's the main problem. It goes to the national
state coffer.
State coffer, and that's how. But this year, the government has allocated a nice amount of budget in the name of the road safety developments. I hope this will next financial year will be a good one for all these complaint I am doing here, because there are the current government has nice plans to catch up all these backlogged physical infrastructure development and all those safety features, all these installments of what you call road safety furniture, we call them, for example, the traffic lights or street lights or these lane markings or whatever, this crash barrier that prevents the cars or the vehicles running off from the cliff. So those kind of things, I hope it will be there. So as in the past, slightly the story is different, but since this is not yet the beginning of the new fiscal year and the government already has got the budget out and they have allocated a good amount, I hope this will be done.
We also hear about a draft proposal to revise the fine brackets. So if you are a violator of road rules, you can be charged between 500 to 100,000 rupees. How practical do you think the rates are?
No, and I think this is a global practice. If you violate the rules, you are fined, and that's actually a crime, because this is a matter of life and death for somebody or yourself, because that's how this concept has evolved. But the problem here, I was trying to explain before, was if you don't tell the driver or the road user what you are allowed and what you are not allowed to do on the road by installing signpost or painting the road or telling them during the driver licensing test or through any other alert system or any, for example, the road blockage things. You don't just put a signpost where the road is blocked. You should have a system that informs the driver well ahead. So if you have all these things in what you call practice, or you have provided them, you have a very good logic that you can fine driver very happily because you have already educated them and they are not following it. But in ours, it's too early to comment on them actually, why the government has done it before. It's the existing Traffic Management Act is very old, it's almost over 30 years old, and some of the offenses are not even recognized. For example, mobile phone or all these tech-related things were not there before, so that you have to update them. And if you are revising the offenses and then the amount of the fine, I think it's reasonable. But the biggest point here is the government, and there are three agencies. I should say now, by highlighting the fines, we are kind of passing the ball to the police actually, where the what you call responsibility or is their duty was to the Department of Roads and Department of Transport Management and all other local bodies too. So my question is whether they have done their job. Otherwise, what happens? I don't see any lane on a road, but I am fined because I drive on the other side of the road, and assumption is that I am in the wrong lane, but there is no lane marking. So that's the main point. If there was a lane marked, whether it is dotted or is a solid, then anyone can. That's the evidence that I was doing the wrong thing. If it is just a black top, you can't say I was in the wrong lane.
So the approach of negative reinforcement in this case would be too early.
Yeah, actually, this is sometimes what happens. People are a bit. There will be some backlashes, but I have since it's my job and I am a kind of researcher. I talk with so many drivers and things. I have found very positive remarks around driving, drink driving, and drugs, all these things, But when it comes to about traffic light or lane things, the drivers say exactly what I'm saying. Because if you don't provide the lanes, how can we maintain it? That's the biggest question.
But otherwise, considering the minimum salary that the government has determined and all, the rates that they have proposed, of the idea that they have floated, do you think they are fine?
The highest amount is slightly high, thinking about the average earnings. But in high-income countries also there are heavy fines, and people are always scared of being fined, so that they keep themselves in a discipline. And I also have some kind of experience of living abroad, and my friends are drivers as well. So they are very cautious before using a road. They look for whether there's a one way, where there's a speed limit, and how the conditions are. So this becomes their job nowadays in our country right now. The driver, one thing is, driver don't have power too. The drivers are powerless, kind of what you call, not even employees. They are just a worker. Even if you yourself drive a car, I don't think you feel you have enough power, because this is just there are so many things you are pressed on, but you have nowhere to express your grievances or worries. For example, I gave you example. You are fined on a crossroad that you violated a lane, but there was no lane. So where will you go? Because police is putting fine on you, but this is not police job to make lanes. That's my point here.
So you mean the interagency coordination has been lacking?
Yes, that's how the historical problem here. So that's why this situation has come actually. And now we are missing two things. When you're talking about drivers and lanes, in our country we have got very heavy fleet of motorbike, almost 75% two-wheelers, and these two-wheelers are not really appreciated in any traffic transportation kind of thing. Number one, they are self-vulnerable, very delicate, and there is no safety harness. And the other is they are very, prone to violate the rules because of two things. One, there is convenience, and there is no other infrastructure made for them separately drive motorbike like that. So this is another thing.
So pedestrians and two-wheelers are the most vulnerable of the victims. Do you think the state has separate policies to address these different segments?
I'm not aware about these, except there are rules for mandatory helmet rules. For example, anybody on the bike, either single or double, or in Nepal we have 3 people, more than 2 people also, they carry their children. So I don't think so there is no rule actually. That's how they are carrying their children, or the goods sometimes they carry it. We also lack some of the rules. Since you raised this, I don't think we have separate rule for pedestrian, separate rule for motorbike, or even bicyclist. We have one rule, that Vehicle and Transport Management Act, and these things are then we call regulation. You have to regulate. You have to regulate taxis, your private cars, motorbikes. Nowadays we have got these motor taxis, motorbike taxis. Now we have got increased cycle lanes. So what happens when there is a dedicated agency that is for road safety, that looks after, that puts the people in the center, road user in the center, and they looks after their safety. At the moment, we are driven by the acts or rules or regulations. They are driven for infrastructure development and transport, the connectivity and those kind of things. So I don't blame them. That's their right. They are doing their right job. But we should have an agency or organization that looks after people's safety.
It sounds like post-1990s we did good with road expansion, but we have lagged behind in terms of putting safety first.
True. And because this was not the concept, since in 1990 you can see that our traffic fleet has kind of grew exponentially, and this is mostly on the motorbikes. But we can discuss separately sometime. But the way the motorbikes are promoted, there are 2 ways. I think, as you already have researched, that the highest number of fatality or the injuries are from the two-wheel riders. Actually, we can compare it with alcohol or tobacco, because this is the same problem, this causing youth people. So that's one thing. But the other is the in the name of expansion, we forgot the safety features and things. And obviously, this is globally also, the road safety is a bit new concept. Before, say, in 1990s or before the 1980s, my friend was telling that in France it used to be very, very different situation than it is now. And in Sweden, people in 1960s, I think, they switched from right to left, and they spent billions and billions of dollars in 1960s to improve the road safety culture of the people. So we need investment too. And to comment, I think, on the government part, it looks like with the fine imposing the fine, we can change people's behavior. But the theory of the knowledge transfer says that you can import the technology, you can import the car quickly today, but you need at least 1 month to get it around. How the steering wheel, how the brakes, how the things are working, as well as what are the safety features. You have to learn. It will take 1 month or so, but you can buy it today. And the other thing is about caring for safety yourself or for the passengers or anybody on the walking on the road is a bit a time. They need a time. Like you need a second to think about all of these people. If you're just thinking about arriving to your destination, then you are not thinking about safety. This is a culture, so that really needs a time. If you notice the discussion and debates going over the past few years, you will notice that before 5 or 10 years, there was no such discussion used to be. So these days, we have so many people talking about road safety. They are demanding different solutions. That's why the government is, I think, listening to it, or they must listen it so that they can implement what the people are demanding. That's how it works. So it's slow but steady.
The United Nations, considering all of these scale of impact, has taken a target of reducing the number of fatalities and also injuries, in fact, by half by the year 2030. Do you think it is too ambitious, or are we prepared to attain that goal?
This is a second decade, actually. They did it since 2011 to 20, and that was not a success, actually, but they did a lot of rules and regulations and organizational structure at that time. Then in 2020, they set for another one, because 21 to 30. So this is the second decade. And as you referring the global status report on road safety 2023, there was it shows that there have been so many countries they have reduced, and so many countries have at least not increasing anymore. So they have started to decline. About 100 countries or so out of 200. This is a big progress. But thinking about your question, in the Southeast Asia region, we used to have 11 countries, and now we have 10. Out of these 10 countries, only Bangladesh and ourselves, Nepal, are rising the number of injuries and deaths, whereas all 8 countries have reduced their number. At least they are not 50% though, but at least they have shown some indication. So this is our problem. And the other thing is, I must say, when we're talking about the UN and these things, the data discrepancy is already there. When we talk about 1.19 million deaths, we are referring to the estimates done by the World Health Organization due to using their statistical models and things. And at home, all on these government documents and all these literature, we mostly find these police records of fatalities and injuries mentioned. We also have Ministry of Health. They records the number of injured patients visited to the health facilities, but I don't see it is referred to anywhere. It is also around 100,000, whereas the traffic police accounts for only 35 to 36,000 injuries. And the other thing is the number of fatalities. Police counts them about less than 3,000, but the World Health Organization previously used to estimate around 5,000, Now they have increased it to the 8,500. Let me give you an example of yesterday crash in Karnali Highway. You see that we don't know how many people are on board. And this one body is found, and one person is counted as fatal yesterday.
They're still searching.
Yeah. No, but my point is the number. Yesterday, fatality was one person in Karnali Highway. Actually, if we are legally looking for the police record, this is one person dead yesterday indeed. But in reality, we don't know how many people died. I don't think anybody has survived yet. This happened to the Simaltal last year. There are estimates of 65 people were in the both vehicles, but I think not all bodies are found. So legally, not all 65 are dead yet. So that's how I'm just trying to explain how the number of deaths are differ in government records.
That's a very beautiful way to illustrate actually how the discrepancies come about, and that surely is going to impact the policies as well. But in your observation, many countries, as you mentioned, have been able to reduce the number of victims. What global interventions would you say would be practical for Nepal, or do we need to be very organic when it comes to our issues?
No need to organic, because there are in 2017 in another World Health UN General Assembly, the nations, member states agreed, I think 12 voluntary targets. They include all these things what we're talking about actually. The first one is the lead agency that looks after the road safety of people traveling, whether they are walking or cycling or motorcycling. So the lead agency, that doesn't still exist in Nepal. The one thing, that's the biggest solution, because then you and I have someone to go and report all these things. I've been to the media before also, and I sometimes ask the host, like, we are talking here very nice. Do you know who is listening this? Who is accountable for this? There is no one authority now. So that's the first thing. We have one lead road agency. Then there are several targets that around you have to control limits, speed limits. Because you have to designate the speed limits according to their status. For example, if they're highways or street or the urban roads, then you have to test your vehicles, all the mandatory test for the vehicle, as well as import very highly safety rated vehicles only. Then you are these enforcing mandatory helmet rules. All these, there are 12 targets, including the, as you touched in the beginning about the post-crash response and the treatment of the injured persons. So there are all these targets are set, and their description how it should be done. But the problem is that there is no agency to look at them. That's how it is delayed.
If you could mandate a few reforms that the government can make in the next few months or a year, what do you think they would be?
No, they are definitely the reform, because this is actually transition. The government has just taken over, and there are lots of things underway in pipeline. But these are the things they are already, because I am aware about the new road safety policy is coming. The Road Safety Act is coming. The Transportation and Vehicle Management Act you mentioned is being amended. All these things, and the Ministry of Transport, this infrastructure development has resourced for with a very good amount of budget for road safety work. So these are the things. This is the beginning actually.
This is a year-round issue. However, most of it comes to highlight to general public, especially during monsoon season. Do you think there should be monsoon-specific steps that the government needs to adapt?
To be frank, I checked the number of fatality and injuries and crashes during the monsoon and during the festivals. I don't remember top of head, but it's not much different than the average. So I would flip this question and would suggest the way people think about traveling. They think about how is the weather, how would it rain or not, how is the road. If they think the same way through year round, some of the fatalities or crashes will definitely stop, because this is not because of the monsoon. Definitely in monsoon we have got hilly terrain, there are slopes, there are some the fragile this road topography, so that it happens that when it rains the roads are washed away. That's one thing, but this is a temporary problem. Say for example, if we are traveling right now in Tarai, whether it's a very hot weather, and you suddenly enter into a cold place, and there is a risk of driver being fell asleep because of this pleasant feeling, and the vehicle can crash. And this thing can happen anywhere, like it's not a matter of
regardless of the weather.
Yeah, no, I don't say this is completely it doesn't happen, because there are examples. There are floods, there are landslides, and it happens. But what I'm trying to say, we think about these situations and we don't travel, and we avert the crashes or any mishaps, But what happens in a dry day, we don't think about it. So that's my point. If we start thinking, that doesn't mean that we have to care about all about it. The state is there, and there are agencies to look after all these things and monitor. But to respond to your question, because you asked that in monsoon, and also some people ask during the festivals, because during the festival people also think that, okay, we are traveling long distance, how will we our journey, all these things. They take care of it actually.
To conclude our conversation, if you could summarize the pattern that you've observed in Nepal and what could be done.
If you go to low-hanging fruits, I can see that since the Kathmandu metropolitan city or the valley comprise 50% of the country's fleet, and because of we have a provision here, we can record the highest number of crashes and injuries. But the way the road infrastructure is here and the transport system operates, it can be easily improved with a few things. For example, if we blanket impose the 30 km/h speed rule in the inner streets, and another thing, enforcing the mandatory stop when you are entering to the main road from a street. There is no mandatory stop. Although people say they have to stop, I don't see a stop line anywhere in the street that ends to the highway or this main way. So that's one thing. And we have got traffic lights installed. It is coming nicely. But the position of the traffic lights, if it is more convenient, everyone will see them. They will follow it. And the other thing is they don't function it. During the peak time, again, you have to send the policemen on the street. And the other thing, we should not completely rely on this technology, especially in traffic lights at the moment. We must have some people on the street, because two things, I know people disagree. We need employment, and we need some sort of a sense of somebody is policing us, actually literally policing us. The driver, sometimes if you don't see them, you don't care. So if you just see a person in a uniform, that makes sense. And you are retaining youth people going from abroad. And as you rightly mentioned right in the beginning, that it's not a business of loss, actually. If you employ many policemen, they will earn revenue also. You don't have to pay for them. So that's my point.
Dr. Pant, thank you so much for your time and your insights.
Thank you very much. It was so nice to talk to you.
Well, as we've heard today, road traffic crashes are not inevitable, they are preventable. We hope this conversation is an added call for stronger policies, safer roads, responsible road use, and timely emergency response as well. Thank you as always for staying with us here on the show. Until next time.
Shall we start now?
I'll try my best.
Okay. Your best performance, okay?
The most important innings for me would be the Nepal versus Hong Kong game. And I scored 41 runs because that match, it was one step into the World Cup. And for me, I remember going into that game, I thought I'll not hit the ball in the air at all because if I stayed in the crease and scored runs, meant that Nepal had better chances of winning. And those 41 runs in that game would probably be the most valuable innings that I've ever played, where I got run out. But that every run, if I think of it now, would probably be the time when I took the most pressure during my whole 20 years of career. But those would be the most important runs of my career.
Best Nepali batsman of all time?
It's difficult. Why? Because I have seen a lot of great players, and you look at the current batch of cricketers, men that everyone's been performing exceptionally well. If I really had to pick one name, just from a talent perspective, who did not play as much for Nepal but was extremely talented, was Sandeep Shrestha. He played few matches for Nepal, but just looking at him, he was so casual at how he played the sport.
I can't agree with you anymore. Best coach you have played under?
If I really had to pick one person, would be Pubdu, because that transformation of Nepal cricket from 11 to 16 while he was here, and we qualifying for the World Cup was an important moment.
Most difficult opponent you have played against?
Obviously, Afghanistan and Nepal always, gets compared. I remember playing Afghanistan's first match in 2005, and then they wanted to become a test playing nation in 2016.
Best bowler you have faced, or the most difficult bowler you have ever faced?
I think Basant Rigmi easily is the best bowler that I played. I keep saying Sandeep played the IPL, he's gone on to play all leagues all over the world, he's been phenomenal. But Basant Rigmi, if let's say had got the platform back in the day, from a fast bowler who turned into a left arm spinner, probably the best bowler that I have faced, and at one point he was probably the best left arm spinner and somebody who nobody could hit.
Best upcoming talent?
I think Gulshan Jha, the potential that he has as an all-rounder, and he's left-handed. Obviously, there's a lot more things that he needs to add up into his game, but he has potential to really grow into something.
Best Nepali bowler?
Would be Binod Das. I think he was probably the best fast bowler that I played. I mean, Sompal and Karan have carried the nation's burden for the last 10 years, but Binod Das was probably the best fast bowler.
He was the leading fast bowler in the associate countries at his peak as well. 2014 T20 World Cup qualification or 2018 ODI status?
It has to be the World Cup, and I really can't pick between the two. Why? Because the ODI status is important for the overall setup of how a cricket nation functions at the associate world, but qualifying for the World Cup and playing the World Cup meant that cricket became important to this nation. So I would definitely pick the World Cup.
Best ever performance under your captaincy, Nepal's?
3 matches we played at the World Cup.
14 World Cup.
Because at the global stage, we never played under floodlights. We went into Dubai a week ago. And also when you are young, I think we were a young team. We had no fears. We were a strong unit, backed by good coaching. Whatever that we had, we were happy about it. And that moment where we were presented in front of the world, we did not crumble. Playing against Hong Kong, playing against Afghanistan, and competing against Bangladesh, meant that that is when we made our first significant impact. So those 3 matches would probably be the best performance. But if you go through the Division 5, 4, 3-2 cycle, more. I mean, every tournament has its own story, and it has been an incredible journey.
Best batsman in world cricket you admire?
Has to be Brian Charles Lara. Got to see him in Nepal as well, so he was a genius.
He was a genius. Best all-rounder in world cricket?
Jack Callis, easily.
All right.
When you look at his batting stats, his bowling stats, there's no comparison to what he has achieved.
Exactly. Best bowler in world cricket all time?
Shane Warne. I'll probably say he's the greatest cricketer that played the sport.
True. You are a big Aussie fan as well?
I follow the Australian cricket team.
Best captain in world cricket all time?
if I really have to go back old school, it would have to be Stephen Fleming. Fleming was a great leader, left-handed batter, and is still coaching the Chennai Super. A great cricket mind, and even Ricky Ponting. If you think of the fact that he had to lead this team of gladiators and had to captain them, Steve Waugh led by examples day and day. But if I had to pick one person, if it's a name, Stephen Fleming. Although he didn't win championships, but had a lot of respect with everybody around and still does.
Paras, let's sit down now. Let's create Nepal's all-time 11, all formats.
It's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult. Let's try.
Sandeep Shrestha is opening. Then you'd probably pick maybe Kushal
Bhutel. Parishloni opening. Fantastic.
2. Then number 3 would be Gyanendra Malla.
Superb.
Number 4.
Let's try.
Number 4 would be Dipender Singh Airi.
Dipender Singh Airi, of course.
At number 4.
Okay.
Sarath Desagar at 5.
5.
Raju Kharka at 6. Then so Sakti Gauchan at 7.
7.
Basant Ragmi at 8.
8.
Sandeep Lamichhane at 9. Binod Das.
Okay.
And it'll be difficult between Sompal and Karan.
All right.
Because both of them, so depending on the format, because both have been great match winners, which means that if it's ODI, I would pick Sompal.
Being diplomatic here.
If it's ODI, I mean if it's T20, I would pick Karan. So that's the playing 11. Sandeep
Shrestha, number 1.
Kushal Bhutel, Gyanendra Malla at 3, Dipender Singh Airi at 4, Sarath Desagar at 5, Raju Kharka at 6, Sakti Gauchan at 7, Basant Ragmi at 8, Sandeep Lamichhane at 9, Binod Das at 10, and 11 would be
either Sompal or
Karan.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, all-rounders, please rank. Raju Kharka?
1. Dipender Singh Airi 2.
All right.
Sakti Gauchan 3.
All right.
Gulshan Jha 4.
All right.
Mehboob at 5. So
Mehboob at 5.
It is no more the remote far west, but the wonderful west. Nine districts are in the far west province, from the low-lying Tarai to the heightening mountains. Climatically, the province has all tropical weather conditions prevailing in Nepal. This makes the province a paradise for tourists of all interests. Khaptad, Badimalika, Api and Saipal mountains, Surmi and Ghodagodi lakes, Ramarosan area, Dodara Chandani, Sukla Fata Wildlife Reserve, Tikapur Botanical Garden, Amargari Fort. Dhangadi, the province headquarters, is the gateway to the state. The business hub of the far west region, Dhangadi, is becoming well equipped for political, trade and business infrastructures and other human resources. The far west region of Nepal is blessed with natural beauty. Any traveler is attracted by this epitome of beauty and a gift of Mother Nature. In addition to the natural beauty of the region, you can see the human civilizations rich in culture and arts throughout the province. The people of this region enjoy their unique lifestyle identified by their culture, language and religion. The far west region has the wealth of nature, culture and religious uniqueness to offer to every traveler. Kaptard. The Kaptard National Park, spreading across 4 districts of Doti, Acham, Bajang and Bajura of the far west province, is situated at an altitude of 3,000 meters above the sea level. The natural splendor and breathtaking views revealing geography's diversity is a sight to remember for every nature lover. This is the land of penance where Kaptard Baba lived for 50 years in his pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. There are 22 Patans and the famous Triveni temple in Kaptard. The natural splendor of Kaptard area is attracting many domestic and foreign tourists by the day. Trekking in the Kaptard region is a lifetime experience, especially with the numerous species of birds, wildlife, flora and fauna in the numerous trails. Kaptard is the meeting point of 4 districts, Doti, Acham, Bazan and Basura, a chaste land of Kaptard Baba, an important place for religious tourism. Special prayers and worship are offered in the place during the famous Dasara fair. Some of the major attractions in the region. Badi Malika. Situated 4,200 meters above the sea level, Badi Malika is a famous religious site in remote Bajura district of the far west province. The annual fair on the occasion of Janai Purnima draws thousands of devotees at the Badi Malika temple. Lush green meadows, pure waterfalls and whistling ravines flowing downstream are the major attractions of the natural wonder. Thousands of domestic and foreign tourists flock the temple every year during the fair and other times as well. Badi Malika is popular among people in the far west and Karnali provinces. However, few people from Kathmandu and Garhwal of India also visit this site for pilgrimage. The famous pilgrimage site in Bajura district of Far West province, Badi Malika. There is a popular belief that offering worship to deity Badi Malika fulfills one's wishes. Large fair takes place every year on Janai Purnima. The Badi Malika temple on top of a hill. The 22 patans, various species of flowers, panoramic view of the mountain range. Only a few small tea shops are seen as amenities in this area. One can reach Badi Malika by taking a flight from Nepalganj to Kolti airport of Bajura. Day-long drive from Kolti followed by 3 days of walk. Suklafata. Suklafata National Park is a world-famous destination for those interested in wildlife. The main attraction of the park is the large grassy meadows where the Barasingas are seen in big numbers. The flock in the park is said to be the largest in the world. The park is home to 46 mammals, including endangered Bengal tiger, elephant, and anjir, and over 423 species of birds. The national park offers elephant ride and jungle safari to tourists as major recreational activities. The national park along Nepal-India border in Kanchanpur district is famous for watching wild elephants and Barasinga, a heaven for wildlife enthusiasts. The attractions: grassy meadows, swamps and wetlands. Ramaroshan, located in Acham district of Nepal at an altitude of 2500 meters above the sea level. Ramaroshan is a jewel for tourists in the Far West province. A place having 18 patch of meadows, locally known as Patans, is a major tourism destination. The beautiful Ramaroshan Lake is the major attraction for tourists here. This area is the only habitat of national bird of Nepal, Daffy, or the Lophophorus. The rhododendron forest along the trails leading to the lake rejuvenates every traveler. Amargadi Fort. Amargadi Fort is a historic castle in Amargadi municipality of Danildura. This fort is an important site of historical, archaeological, political, religious, social and cultural aspects. The fort that witnessed the bravery of Kaji Amar Singh Thapa in the unification campaign of Nepal is strategically located at the top of a hill in the district headquarters of Darildura. General Thapa established his administrative headquarters in the fort itself during the unification campaign. This is an interesting site for researchers and archaeological explorers. Mostly domestic and Indian tourists visit this fort. The Far West Province has dozens of existing and new tourism destinations. From a breathtaking mountain range to famous temples, the province has tourism destinations for all types of travelers to engage them for even a month. As many tourism destinations are in Far West Province, so is the potential of the province. Most of the tourists in the province come for travel and research. However, lack of proper infrastructures discourage many enthusiasts. The Far West Province has not been able to welcome desired number of tourists in the absence of the amenities. The number of foreign tourists entering Nepal via custom points in the Far West Province has seen some increment of late. But most of them hardly spend a day or two there. After entering Nepal from Kailali or Kanchanpur, most of the tourists head towards the east for capital Kathmandu or Pokhara or some other destinations. After the centralized system of governance changed to federalism, the possibilities of development has increased with the full authority now in local levels. One immediate such possibility is the trekking trail. If only the 5 proposed tourism corridors, Khakrola, Tikapur, Karnali, Badimalika, Khutia, Bipinagar, Tel Lake, Khaptar, Dhangadi, Budar, Saipal, Mahakali River and Jhulaghat, Mursa can be developed as per provincial government's plan. It could contribute to the national mission of prosperity through tourism. Many other destinations can be developed into touristic sites to welcome domestic as well as foreign tourists. The artist's geography might be discouraging, but the nature has blessed the region with glory. This is why tourism can be the base for prosperity for Far West Province. It is no more the remote Far West, but the wonderful West.
Hello and welcome to Business World. I am Siksha Bhatrai. In this edition, we bring you the biggest business stories from around the world with the latest developments shaping markets, industries and economies. Let's begin. Oil markets are adjusting as tensions in the Middle East continue to ease. Gulf oil exports have risen sharply, with shipping through the Strait of Hormuz returning to normal.
Gulf oil exports recorded a sharp increase in June as shipping activity through the Strait of Hormuz recovered following weeks of disruption caused by regional conflict. Total exports climbed above 10 million barrels per day, driven by record crude shipments from the UAE and higher exports from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. The rebound follows a US-Iran agreement that eased tensions and allowed tanker traffic through the strategic waterway to resume. Ship movements have increased significantly, helping reduce supply bottlenecks and restore confidence in global energy markets. However, traders remain cautious as geopolitical developments in the Middle East continue to pose risks to one of the world's most important oil transit routes.
Canada is moving ahead with plans to expand its energy exports. A proposed pipeline aims to improve access to Asian markets and reduce the country's reliances on the United States.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has reached an investment agreement with British Columbia to develop a major oil pipeline, clearing a key political hurdle for a project aimed at expanding Canada's energy exports. The proposed pipeline would transport more than 1 million barrels of oil per day from Alberta to Canada's west coast, creating direct access to Asian markets. The project is central to the government's strategy to diversify exports and reduce Canada's economic reliance on the United States, with Carney targeting a doubling of non-US exports over the next decade. The new route would largely parallel the existing Trans Mountain Pipeline corridor, linking Alberta's oil-producing region to export terminals in British Columbia. The government says the pipeline is expected to improve export capacity, narrow the discount on Canadian crude sold to U.S. buyers, and strengthen long-term energy revenues.
Trade relations between Brussels and Beijing are once again under scrutiny. The European Union is urging China to address long-standing concerns over market access and trade imbalances.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has warned that upcoming trade talks between the European Union and China must deliver concrete results as Brussels steps up pressure over long-running trade imbalances. Speaking in Cork as Ireland began its 6-month presidency of the EU, von der Leyen said the bloc remains committed to dialogue but expects greater market access for European companies and an end to what it calls unfair Chinese subsidies. The EU chief also said the EU is prepared to use all available trade tools if Beijing fails to address its concerns. The warning follows calls by EU Trade Commissioner Maros Šefčovič for tangible progress in negotiations by October, as EU's goods trade deficit with China reached about 360 billion euros in 2025.
Technology is becoming an increasingly important part of global geopolitics. China has raised security concerns over an American AI coding tool, adding another chapter to the growing technology rivalry between the world's two largest economies.
China has warned that versions of the US-developed AI coding tool Claude Code may contain what it calls a security backdoor capable of transmitting users' location and identity-related data without consent. The warning came from China's National Vulnerability Database, a cybersecurity platform linked to the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, which urged users and organizations to uninstall affected versions or update to the latest release. Claude Code, developed by San Francisco-based AI startup Anthropic, is an artificial intelligence coding assistant that helps developers generate, debug, and review software code, although the company officially restricts access to users in China. Anthropic has not formally responded to the allegations, but Claude Code engineer Tariq Shahipar said the data collection was part of an anti-abuse experiment introduced to prevent unauthorized resellers and AI model copying, adding that the feature was being removed.
The artificial intelligence boom continues to reshape the semiconductor industry. Samsung is expecting another strong quarter as demand for AI memory chips remains high.
German Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil has defended plans to significantly increase the defense spending in Germany's 2027 budget, arguing that Europe must strengthen its deterrence and defense capabilities in the face of growing security threats from Russia. Klingbeil said a balanced budget policy alone would not be enough to protect Europe against Russian President Vladimir Putin, as the government unveiled plans to raise the defense spending by 33% compared with the 2026 levels. The proposed budget, however, has drawn criticism from opposition parties and environmental groups over planned cuts to climate action and other social spending programs. It has been argued that the increased military expenditure could come at the expense of long-term investment in Germany's green transition and welfare policies.
Energy security remains a top priority across Asia. India is opening vast new areas for oil and gas exploration in an effort to boost domestic production.
India will open around 250,000 square kilometers of unexplored areas for oil and gas exploration, bidding as part of a major push to strengthen energy security and reduce dependence on imported crude. Indian Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri aims to unlock untapped hydrocarbon reserves and expand domestic production capacity at a time when global energy markets remain vulnerable to geopolitical shocks. The decision comes in the wake of recent tensions in the Middle East, which disrupted global oil supply routes and highlighted the risks faced by import-dependent economies such as India. The government has framed the latest push as part of a broader long-term strategy to improve energy resilience through increased domestic production and diversification of supply resources.
South Korea is looking beyond today's semiconductor boom. The government plans to reinvest chip industry revenues into projects that support long-term economic growth.
South Korea plans to channel additional tax revenue generated from the country's semiconductor boom into a new future response fund aimed at supporting long-term economic growth, youth-focused policies, and efforts to address widening income inequality. Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Hun-sik said the administration of President Lee Jae-myung intends to use the fund to finance major national investment projects and strengthen South Korea's long-term industrial competitiveness. He said the proposed fund would support 3 major mega projects, including new growth engines, measures to address so-called K-shaped economic polarization, and targeted assistance for housing, startups, and employment opportunities for people in their 20s and 30s. It is said the initiative is designed to convert cyclical gains from the chip industry into structural investments aimed at sustaining growth and improving economic balance over the long term.
Regional partnerships continue to strengthen investment across Asia. Japan and India are deepening economic ties through a multi-billion-dollar investment package aimed at expanding trade and industrial cooperation.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi announced nearly $12 billion in commercial investments in India, following bilateral talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. The investment package is aimed at strengthening trade, industrial cooperation, and private sector partnerships between the two countries. Takaichi said companies from both countries had exchanged about 130 cooperation agreements, reflecting expanding business ties across multiple sectors. Takaichi also said the two leaders also discussed measures to deepen economic cooperation amid an increasingly uncertain global environment.
Trade and security often go hand in hand. Indonesia and Singapore have reaffirmed their commitment to keeping the Malacca Strait open and secure one of the world's busiest and most important maritime trade routes.
Indonesia and Singapore have agreed to uphold freedom of navigation and the right of passage in the strategically important Malacca Strait, leaders of both countries said on Monday. The agreement was reached during talks in Jakarta, where Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto hosted Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, with maritime security in the Malacca Strait high on the agenda. The two leaders emphasized the importance of maintaining open and secure sea lanes in one of the world's busiest shipping corridors, which is vital for global trade and regional economic stability. Both sides also discussed strengthening bilateral cooperation on maritime safety and regional security amid growing strategic competition in the Indo-Pacific.
Artificial intelligence is transforming finance just as it is transforming technology. The Bank of England says AI also brings new risks that could affect financial stability and cybersecurity.
The Bank of England said on Tuesday that artificial intelligence poses a growing threat to financial stability. As investors bet heavily it will prove a success while the technology increases banks' sensitivity to cyber attacks. In a half-yearly assessment of risk to Britain's financial system, the central bank said previous risk it had identified from stretched share price valuations, high public debt and risky private credit lending to businesses have not gone away. But since its last report, it highlighted additional dangers from investors, including hedge funds borrowing to buy shares, AI-related companies borrowing heavily to fund investments, and rapid growth in AI's capacity for harm. Despite this, it judged that Britain's banking system remained resilient and set out proposals to make it easier for banks to run down the amount of capital they hold after a crisis in order to sustain lending to the economy.
In the corporate world, one of Europe's largest airlines is attracting takeover interest. EasyJet has reached an agreement in principle on a potential multi-billion-pound acquisition pending regulatory approval.
EasyJet has reached an agreement in principle with a U.S. investment firm over a potential takeover offer worth around £5.2 billion. The company is one of Europe's largest airlines. It employs more than 19,000 people and flies around 1,200 routes across 35 European countries. When rejecting the previous offers, EasyJet had accused Castle Lake of trying to buy it on the cheap. However, on Sunday, the two sides said they had reached an agreement in principle on a proposal put forward on 4th of July, worth £6.90 per share. This does not mean a deal has been confirmed. Castle Lake now needs to get regulatory clearances and the approvals required for the transaction to go ahead.
Changing weather patterns are also changing consumer behavior. Demand for home air conditioning is rising across the United Kingdom as households adapt to more frequent heat waves.
Rising temperatures are making traditional British homes increasingly uncomfortable, driving an unprecedented rise in demand for domestic air conditioning as homeowners rush to retrofit properties. It is reported many UK buildings designed to retain heat during colder months are now struggling to cope with prolonged heat waves linked to climate change. The growing discomfort has sparked a surge in interest in residential cooling systems, marking a shift in consumer behavior in a country where air conditioning has historically been rare. Traders say the trend could reshape the UK home improvement market, with increased demand for energy-efficient cooling solutions and retrofitting services.
And finally, a story that highlights how regional conflict can affect everyday commerce. In southern Afghanistan, border tensions have brought the once thriving car trade to a standstill, leaving businesses under increasing pressure.
Afghanistan's once thriving car trade in southern Kandahar province has come to a standstill as regional conflicts disrupt cross-border commerce. The Spin Boldak market, a major hub for imported vehicle parts, was severely affected after violence with neighboring Pakistan led to the near-total closure of the border in October. Traders who relied on supplies from across the region are now facing shortages, rising costs and declining business activity. The disruption highlights how border tensions and regional instability are impacting local economies in Afghanistan.
That's all for this edition of Business World. I am Siksha Bhattrai. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
in 80 species of turtles occurring or reported for Nepal, almost 80% found in Nepal are globally threatened. So we can imagine we need to conserve turtles. It's going to vanish very soon.
If we continue this process from Mechi to Mahakali, then one long this terrain belt will be the one green belt of the turtle conservation. These poisonous gases will generally block to reach to the Himalayan region. Then automatically the snow of mountain region will not melt, and then it will be saved as a legacy of Nepal.
We are trying our best to support to the media, local people and other conservationists also to protect this turtle. And then local peoples are also kindly aware to protect, and if they found this kind of turtles, and they are requested to send over here, and we even for those people who bring turtles, we support them from different way from our side also.
Today, the world is stressed and overwhelmed by the crisis of global climate change. The unnecessary production of the greenhouse gases accelerating the global warming. And consequently, the Earth temperature is approaching and increasing to cross the threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius of Paris agreements about the COP. Therefore, this is one of the very serious situation in the world. But in our own country's scenario, we have also facing some of the environmental problem. That is the rapid urbanizations and excessive combustion of the fossil gases, dust and smoke, and forest fires, and then the landslide, and then the floodings, etc. are poisoning the gases, poisoning the air. And as a result, the groundwater table of in the terrain region is falling and leading to the desertification. And likewise, in the mountain and in the mountain region, the mountain streams are drying out, and it is converting into the barren land, and likely the snow of the Himalaya is melting and turning into the black rock. This is the very serious consequences found in Nepal, and therefore how to mitigate such types of changes, which is facing not only in the world but also in our own country. So just in my mind, one thing occurred, that this would be prevented by the process of herpetofauna conservation. So my topic becomes the perspectives of global warming by herpetofauna conservation. This is my motto. This is my statement. And how it would be possible to conserve the nature, or so to mitigate the global warming. Herpetofauna, especially wetland living herpetofauna, and if we can choose amphibia, means that's the frog from hill stream frog from the amphibia, as well as the especially turtle from the reptilia. And these two groups of the herpetofauna, this mountain stream frog is called the paha, and the turtles are naturally, it lives in the terai region, and both these paha paha species as well as this turtle species. We can make it as a key species for conservation to climate adaptation program. Means if we have to do the climate adaptation work, then we can use these two species, especially paha species and turtle species. They are also found in different regions. Pahas are found in the midland of Nepal, means in mountain regions. And these turtles are found in the Terai region. So now both have dual life cycles. In turtle, they are natural. They are the aquatic one, means they spend most of their life in the water. But during its breeding season, they have to come on land to lay egg, and thereafter, till it's hatching out, it has to live on the land. And when it becomes a small juvenile, then it again go back to the water to spend its independent life. This is the consequences. So these two things generally, both is this amphibia as well as the turtles. They need that they have the dual life cycle. So if such types of species can conserve in situ, for 1 decade, then what will happen? Then the water, land, forest, and biodiversity, they will be restored, and it will establish an ideal ideal wetland ecosystems. And this ideal an ecosystem is just like, you can take, this is the example of this turtle, this Sukhani memorial, this park. This is one example of these very things. It is the establishment of an ideal wetland ecosystem. Herpetofauna conservation wetlands ecosystem. Wetland ecosystem can be established, in this region, either in the mountain region or in the Terai region. When this newly formed wetland is occurred, then what will happen? This dry ground of in the Terai region will recharge, and then one of the green turtle conservation, that is the belt, will be established there. And these kinds of if we continue this process from Mechi to Mahakali, then one long this terrain belt will be the one green belt of the turtle conservation. In this case, this belt will help to neutralize and to neutralize and purify the toxic air blowing to the Himalayan regions. These poisonous gases will generally block to reach to the Himalayan region. Then automatically the snow of mountain region will not melt, and then it will be safe as a legacy of Nepal.
This park was established for the beautiful tourist destination, because this is very beautiful area also to visit for the tourists. Around 2 lakhs, more than 2 lakhs persons, they visit this park annually. This is the only park which is given this authority by the government of Nepal to protect the turtles, and we are trying our best in this course, and we have tried our best to make conscious people for the protection and conservation of the turtles. Then this area is very famous to find the different turtles. We are trying our best to support to the media, local people, and other conservationists also to protect this turtle. And then local peoples are also kindly aware to protect, and if they found this kind of turtles, and they are requested to send over here, and we even for those people who bring turtles, we support them from different way from our side also.
As per recent data, there are 369 species of turtles in the world. In Nepal, recently, some researchers from Western Nepal, from Koilali district, they recorded a new species of turtle for Nepal. It's called Indian star tortoise. Considering that in Nepal there are 18 species and 2 subspecies, we can say so 18 species or 20 taxa of turtles are reported for Nepal. And in our conservation center, there are 9 species, and that 9 species also includes one foreign species or one invasive species. Previously, it was very popular in pet trade. Generally, people they keep it as pet for some time, and when it grows into adulthood, it's very difficult for them to care. At the same time, we regularly conduct awareness program, and they understand it is illegal to keep turtles, so they hand over to us. So we have 9 species of turtles in our center, and previously we used to keep or maintain almost 60 individuals of turtle. We have reduced it to 40, almost 40 individuals of turtles are maintained in our center. So I just wanted to say about this establishment of our center. Basically, this center was established as a joint venture program of Nepali organization, or this very organization is called Sukhani Martyrs Memorial Foundation. This Nepali organization and another scientific organization which is based in Germany, it's called Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Society of Nepal, or in short it's called ARCO Nepal. It's a joint venture program of these 2 organizations. This conservation center was established in 2012, and interestingly, it's a kind of pride for us. It is the only conservation center for turtle that is permitted by the Ministry of Forest and Environment in Nepal. So we have been continuously working from 2012 to till now. So what I would like to stress is that in 18 species of turtles occurring or reported for Nepal, almost 80%. That means almost 80%. That means if we just go into the depth, 77.78% of turtles found in Nepal are globally threatened. So we can imagine we need to conserve turtles. If we didn't conserve turtles, then it's going to vanish very soon. There are many ecological importance of turtles, so I just wanted to just give few points. The first thing is the aquatic turtles. They act as scavengers in wetland, like a vulture. It eats decayed materials or decayed dead bodies. In the same way, the aquatic turtles, those living in water body, they feed on dead fishes or weak fishes or injured fishes, so it cleans the environment. Likewise, it is also helpful in seed dispersal, not only in seed dispersal but also fungal spore dispersal. So that's very interesting. Even it contributes in that part. Likewise, we can say the importance of turtles in food web is very much. That means many birds and many mammals, even the crabs, they feed on juveniles, that means babies of turtles. And even many mammals, many birds eat turtles eggs. So its importance in food web is also equally important. So we can say that. And the other very important thing, the very important ecological importance of turtle is it transfers energy from aquatic ecosystem to terrestrial ecosystem. That means most of the freshwater turtles, they live in some water body, but for breeding purpose, for laying eggs, they have to come out of water. So that means it lays eggs. That very eggs, it sells. It is also a type of mineral. There are some minerals in that cell. Likewise, many animals and birds eat that egg. So they helps in transfer of energy from aquatic body to terrestrial ecosystem. Likewise, turtles are worshipped, or what to say, turtles are also worshipped in Eastern philosophy, like in Hindu mythology and all. This very turtle is called Kurma. That means reincarnation of God Vishnu. So in that way, culturally also, it carries this significance. This is brown-roofed turtle. Its scientific name is Pangsura smithi. Actually, this turtle is found in Kosi River, and it was rescued from that place. and this is male. Males are very small, whereas the females are almost 3 to 5 times larger than this. So we have rescued this turtle from Koshi. Actually, some people from Dholabari, they had kept this turtle, and we convinced them that it is illegal to keep turtles. So they hand over it to us. And talking about its food, it is omnivorous. Though some scientists claim it to be vegetarian, but in our experience, it feeds on both plant matters and also flesh. So it's very cute. Basically, it likes to bask on the stone. So in this habitat, you can see there is a stone. There is a dry stone. So whenever the sun shines or it is hot, it likes to come out over the stone and it basks over there. But since their size is very small and they live in large wetlands, we need to clean this water almost 2 or 3 days. In 2 or 3 days, if we didn't clean the water regularly, so infection may occur. So it is sensitive, and we need to care a lot to this species. So you can see this is tricarinate hill turtle, and its scientific name is Melanocalis tricarinata. You can see there are 3 peculiar lines. Based on these lines are keels. It's also called keels. These prominent lines. Based on this peculiar feature, it's called tricarinate hill turtle. This turtle is found from western to central Nepal. It's very rare in eastern Nepal. There are no specific record of this specimen from eastern Nepal. So this is male. You can see generally the male has longer tail. You can see from here, and its carapace. This you can see this plastron is concave. That means this is male and it is used for copulation. It facilitates copulation. And we have been keeping this turtle, or we have rescued this turtle for more than 5 years. We have kept this turtle, and interestingly, this is male. It's small. The female is much larger than male, and it is enlisted as endangered in IUCN Red List. So that's why we have kept it here. And you can see its habitat. In our experience, though some scientists claim it to be terrestrial, but in our experience, it is semi-terrestrial. That means we need to keep water body for this species. So if it wants to stay on land or on terrestrial side, it can go there. Or if it wants to live in water, it can go it there. So this is its habitat. This is Indian flapshell turtle. Its scientific name is Lysimis punctata, and its subspecies is andersoni, or its scientific name is Lysimis punctata andersoni. This is a softshell turtle. You can see it doesn't have hard shell. Its shell is covered with a leather skin. So you can see it's beautiful, and it has got yellow spots. So it is called, sometimes it's called spotted turtle as well. And this is female. This is it is an adult female. It is the maximum size. It is almost 2 kg. You can see it's very big. It's very large. And this is female. Generally, the female has roundish shape, whereas the male is a little bit elongated. So in our experience, we can assume it to be female. But generally, some people, they say they have kept turtles, or they have been rearing turtles, but they might not be able to identify whether it's male or female. But it's female, and at the same time, it has shorter tail, because the cloaca does not come out of this plastron. And the other interesting thing about this turtle is it has got flaps. You can see over here. Whenever I touch its feet, it hides inside. That is, it has got flap. So it has a unique characteristics. Well, many of the turtles, they cannot hide their forelimbs inside their shell. So it has got flaps. So it is called flap shell. You can say And the interesting, you can see, generally, while handling this turtle, generally they don't try to bite or do some kind of harm, but sometimes you can see here it secretes yellowish substance. That is its peculiar behavior. We can say that it is its anti-predator behavior. That is to escape from predator. You can see over there it secretes yellowish substance, which is a bit type of a kind of irritating substance. So it's a adult female. It's listed in. It is also threatened. It is categorized as vulnerable in IUCN Red List. So it's beautiful. It is omnivorous. Previously, it used to occur in all the Tarai belt, in most of the wetlands, in paddy fields, even in the canals. But now, due to its habitat loss, and many people, or some people, even many people, they catch it. Some consume it. Some even keep them as pet. So it is threatened. Now its population is decreasing a lot. Previously, it used to be found in many places in the Tarai belt. Basically, this very species, previously, almost 10 years ago, I had done a survey. And while rescuing the turtles, 80% of the people, they want to consume it. But now, people know turtles are conserved or it's protected by law. So generally, they hand over it to us. It's interesting. It's aquatic turtle. We can see its limbs. It has webbing. No, there are lots of webbing. So in Nepali, many people call it putali, putali kachua, because of its very beautiful. Yeah, like butterfly, it's very beautiful, and its yellow spot looks really beautiful, and it can withdraw its neck is very long, and its nose. You can see its nose is a little bit elongated. It's called proboscis. It's very ancient creature. As per some scientists claim or in many literatures they have written these very turtles. It has existed in Earth for more than 220 million years ago. So it's very ancient creature. And interestingly, this very turtle, its morphology has not changed a lot. It's almost similar to what was found more than 2 million years ago, and almost its morphology is almost similar. But due to human activities and all, habitat loss, and due to human activities, now its population is degrading a lot. So that's why we need to protect it. It's a kind of a kind of pride to become his student, because I worked with him for a very long time, almost for more than 25 years, 26 years, almost more than just almost 25 years. I have worked under him. So Professor Khambu, this very center, it's established as per his idea, because when he was doing PhD in early 2000s, he surveyed all this area. He surveyed not only turtles but also all the reptiles and amphibians. And during his fieldwork, he find out this very lake. It's called Budoholi, but now people call it Bhimsen Pokhari. But its original name is Budoholi. This Budoholi was also a nice habitat for turtles. And even if we ask to the old people, old inhabitant of this very area, they say they used to kill very large size of turtles. Even this tortoise was also found, but in that wetland, especially the large Nilsonia species used to occur in this place. And after consuming its flesh its shell is hard, so that shell it does not, since it is made up of it is made up of hard shell, is very hard, and it does not decay easily. So they used to use that shell as a feeding bowl for cattle. So we can imagine how large turtles used to occur in this place. So he imagined this very site or this area can also be developed as a turtle conservation center. So he talked with the Germany organization, that Arco Nepal, and he even discussed with this local organization, and he initiated this organization in 2012. Now we are working under its legacy, so it feels very kind of privileged or kind of pride to work under him. And regarding that nomenclature in his name, actually his name is named in a gecko. Gecko means a kind of lizard. Is that very lizard was recently described by his colleagues and students. So he has immensely contributed in herpetofauna study, not only in herpetofauna study, but conservation of herpetofauna in Nepal. And some colleagues and his students have acknowledged him by giving a new gecko name as Cetodactylus khambui. So I think that is the right thing to acknowledge him, I think.
Yeah, this one, I would like to thank them because they knew a little bit my attempt in the field of the herpetofauna, and they might have recognized me. So I'm grateful to them. The new species of the geckos, that Cetodactylus, khambui. This name just was, given with my name. Then actually this is the ecologically it will be the one of the milestones.
Basically, we are working on educating the people because many people are not aware. Turtles are also protected animals and it should be conserved or it should be protected. So many people are not aware. But besides from that, most of the forestry students and biology students who are interested in biodiversity and particularly who are interested in reptiles and the inside that who are interested in turtles, it is the suitable place because it is the very center where you can see 9 or 10 species of turtles in a center where you can study its even you can study its morphology, its habitat. So most of the researchers or the students who are interested in biodiversity and particularly in reptiles, they come here. And besides from that, many researchers, foreign researchers who are involved in turtle conservation and turtle breeding, they visit our place because we are the largest conservation center in Nepal for turtles. So generally come to exchange for the exchange of ideas, what we are doing and what they are doing. They just basically each and every turtle species, they have their unique habitat. So we try to copy nature. That means, for example, this is land tortoise. This is tortoise, or it's called land turtle. It is called elongated tortoise. This entirely lives on land. So, and its natural habitat is salt forest. It is found in Tarai and also in Shivalik region. So what kind of habitat it is required, what kind of habitat or what kind of features, what kind of water body, what kind of elevation is required, which species of fruits it is in its natural habitat, we try to plant or we try to create such kind of infrastructure or such type of habitat for these creatures. So it goes the same with aquatic turtles as well. The first thing is still many people are not aware, though we have been working passionately for more than a decade. I would like to inform that we give education program free of cost. If somebody is interested, they need to come in a group, 10 to 20 groups, and just I will give my time, we'll take to the seminar hall and I give lectures and I'll show them live turtles. But still many people are not aware it is protected.
We have done a practical regarding ex situ conservation, like how the animals will conserve in this area in regard of their natural habitat. This center focus on conservation, rehabilitation and management of turtles.
For my fourth final project, I have chosen a topic, description and translocation of rescued turtle at TRCC. For my final year project, my objective are to observe the turtle that are conserved in TRCC and so to document the morphometric measurement of turtle and to access the water quality and to spread the awareness program.
I'm engaged with the Turtle Rescue and Conservation Center in many ways. Firstly, through the campus, we students from Department of Environment Science, Meiji multiple campus are here for our practical works, field visit, including many topics like the conservation of turtle and community forest and others. In aquatic ecosystem, turtle plays a very great role. It feeds upon the decayed organic matter of aquatic ecosystem and makes aquatic system healthy for other aquatic organisms as well. TRCC is one of the conservation and rescue center. So conservation of turtle is obviously doing here, and for the purpose of the rescue from throughout in Nepal, there comes the information about if there is abundant turtle or anything that needs help from the TRCC. Experts are always ready for the rescue, and for the conservation program purpose, different awareness programs and different field activities were done on the occasion of different wetland day, conservation days. Programs are also conducted.
So awareness needs to be maintained. And the other thing is, what we have been emphasizing is that though it is protected, but turtles of Nepal are not legally protected like tiger, elephant and all. So people do lots of negligence. They think it's just a turtle. I can keep it as pet. I can consume it. I can do some type of trade. So that's the problem. So we have been emphasizing, and we have been reporting. We are giving reports, and we are sharing our experience to the forest officials. At least turtles should also be legally protected like other mammals, larger mammals like tigers, like elephants and all. So people will look this very beautiful creature with respect. Otherwise, it's very difficult. We'll create awareness program. We'll teach them. We'll show them. We'll tell them about its ecological importance, even the cultural significance, and then still people exploit this beautiful creature. So that's the major challenge. The other thing I would like to share, since we are a community managed center, our sustenance is also a challenge.
The gorgeous temple of Changu Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Changu Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance with a history of nearly 1700 years, Changu Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changu Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changu Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD. During Lichavi period, Changunarayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Changu inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing-like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Changunarayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Changunarayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
Votekosi and Trisuli river rafting. Rafting has lately been gaining popularity among tourists. The adventure sports, which previously was popular only among foreigners, is now drawing the local tourists as well. Trisuli and Votekosi rivers that are close to Kathmandu are two popular destinations for rafting in Bagmati province. Let us first explore Votekosi. Whitewater rafting at Votekosi river is included among the 10 best adventure destinations for rafting in the world. Votekosi, which is well facilitated with food and accommodation, can be a great destination for rafting and other adventure sports. Rafting at Trisuli river is popular among domestic tourists, as the location can be reached in an hour from Kathmandu. This is where most tourists go for rafting in Nepal. Rafting packages of Votekosi and Trisuli are appropriate for those who want to spend some good time for a few days.
Nepal's National Assembly passes 4 key bills. Public debt and procurement reforms take center stage. Government seeks private sector trust. Investors call for economic revival measures. Monsoon threats rise across Nepal. Floods and landslides test preparedness. Monsoon disasters kill dozens across India. Tropical storm Maysak flooding claims lives in China. US and Iran exchange fresh strikes. Strait of Hormuz tensions escalate. And France to face Morocco in World Cup quarterfinal. Historic clash set for early Thursday. Hello there, I'm Smriti Singh Thamang. Welcome to NTV World News Hour, coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now, the news in detail. Nepal's National Assembly has passed 4 key bills advancing legislation on public procurement, health sciences, public debt recovery and finance. The Upper House today unanimously approved the Public Procurement Second Amendment Bill 2083 and the bill to amend some Nepal Acts relating to Institute of Health Sciences 2083, while endorsing the National Debt Recovery Bill 2083 by majority vote and passing the Finance Bill 2083. The measures, which were received from the House of Representatives, will now return to the lower house after the National Assembly endorsed amendments where applicable. During the debate, Finance Minister Swarnim Wagle said Nepal's public debt has reached about 3 trillion Nepali rupees, approximately $22 billion, adding that government borrowing should be directed towards productive development projects and debt repayment. Lawmakers said the Public Procurement Bill is intended to make government contracting more transparent, efficient and result-oriented. Prime Minister Balendra Shah has continued his outreach to Nepal's business community, holding talks with construction sector representatives as the government pushes for economic recovery. During a meeting in Kathmandu, Prime Minister Shah described the construction industry as a key driver of economic growth, employment and infrastructure development and pledged to address the sector's concerns. Contractors raised issues including delayed government payments, procurement management, contract extensions, banking difficulties and project implementation delays. The meeting follows Shah's discussions with broader private sector leaders a day earlier as the government seeks to boost investor confidence and accelerate economic reforms. We'll dwell more on this in our segment Cover Story of the Day later in the bulletin. Now, Nepal is facing renewed monsoon risks with heavy rainfall alerts issued in parts of the west and authorities stepping up preparations to protect travellers and communities from possible floods and landslides. Nepal's Weather Forecasting Division has issued a heavy rainfall alert for parts of western Nepal, including Palpa. Meteorologists say most parts of the country may see light to moderate rain, while western areas could experience intense rainfall through Sunday. Authorities have urged people living near rivers and flood-prone areas to remain alert as the risk of flooding increases. In Dading, authorities have intensified disaster preparedness along the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways. 21 landslide and flood-prone locations have been identified, with 18 holding centers prepared for stranded travelers. We'll explore more on this in our segment Issue of the Day later in the bulletin. At least 80 people have died across several Indian states after days of intense monsoon rainfall triggered floods, landslides and widespread disruption. Maharashtra has been the worst affected, with at least 62 deaths reported over the past week. In Gujarat's Surat city, 13 people were killed within 2 days due to heavy rains. Torrential downpours have flooded roads, damaged property, uprooted trees and disrupted transport in major cities, including New Delhi, where authorities issued a red alert after severe waterlogging. In Maharashtra's Pimpri Chichwad near Pune, rescue teams are searching for victims after a waste-to-energy plant collapsed following a garbage landslide. Kerala's Wayanad region is also facing landslide risks, with rescue operations continuing as more heavy rainfall is expected in several parts of the country. Likewise, in China, at least 39 people have died in southern China after flooding caused by tropical storm Maysak triggered widespread destruction. Authorities in Guangxi region say 26 people were killed after a dam breach sent torrents of water through parts of Nanning city following record rainfall. Around 130,000 people have been evacuated, while thousands of rescuers, boats and drones are being used in search and relief operations. More than 8,000 people and about 5,700 boats have been deployed in the rescue operation, with rescuers battling strong currents and debris to reach victims. Heavy rains have battered the region for days, causing severe flooding, landslides and damage to homes and infrastructure. Rescue teams are continuing efforts to reach stranded residents and clear mud and debris from affected areas. The United States and Iran traded strikes second straight night for the second day running as Washington and Tehran battled over the strategic Strait of Hormuz. The vital oil shipping corridor is a flashpoint in the Middle East war, with Tehran insisting on control of the strait despite it being open to free passage before the US-Israeli attacks in February. After the foes traded fire on Wednesday, US President Donald Trump said the ceasefire with Iran was over, but left the door open to more talks and added that any strikes would end quickly. US forces said the latest attacks against Iran were aimed at their ability to threaten the freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, citing recent strikes against commercial ships in the waterway. Iran's chief negotiator said Thursday that the Strait of Hormuz would be opened only under Iranian arrangements. Since US-Israeli strikes triggered war in February, Tehran has insisted on controlling the strait, saying it will charge fees for passage and threatening to hit vessels that deviate from its authorized route. Its military struck at least 3 ships in recent days, prompting extensive US strikes against Iranian targets on Tuesday. The latest strikes come just ahead of the Thursday burial of Ali Khamenei, Iran's former supreme leader who was killed at the outbreak of the war on February 28. Now from sports, France and Morocco will meet in the opening quarter-final of the FIFA World Cup 2026 on Thursday, with the match set to begin at 1:45 a.m. Nepal time. France reached the last 8 after a 1-0 victory over Paraguay in the round of 16, while Morocco defeated Canada 3-0 to secure their place. Morocco, who became the first African nation to reach a World Cup semi-final after beating Portugal in 2022, are aiming to repeat their historic run. The winner of the match will face either Spain or Belgium in the semi-final. As monsoon rains intensify across Nepal, authorities are on alert for possible floods, landslides and travel disruptions in vulnerable areas. From blocked highways in Dhading and Mechi to recurring waterlogging problems in Kathmandu, heavy rainfall continues to test the country's preparedness. In today's issue of the day, we look at the growing monsoon challenges and how communities and authorities are responding. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour, and we're turning to our issue of the day. Nepal's Weather Forecasting Division has issued a heavy rainfall alert for parts of western Nepal, including Palpa. Authorities warn that intense rainfall is likely in the region, with further heavy showers expected across western areas from tomorrow. Meteorologists say most parts of the country may experience light to moderate rain today, while some areas in western Nepal could see heavy rainfall through Sunday. People living near rivers and flood-prone areas have been urged to remain alert due to possible flooding risks. As Nepal braces for another round of monsoon threats, authorities are preparing for possible disruptions along two of the country's busiest highways, where floods and landslides regularly put travelers at risk. The move is aimed at strengthening emergency plans along vulnerable highways to respond to possible floods and landslides. Diksha Avasthi with our local correspondent Shiva Silwal from Dhading brings more.
Travelers using the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways this monsoon will have access to designated holding centers if floods or landslides block the roads. The district administration office in Dhading has identified 18 locations where stranded passengers and vehicles can be accommodated during emergencies. The initiative is aimed at reducing the risk to life and property while ensuring that travelers do not face the difficulties experienced during previous monsoon seasons.
मुख्य राजमार्ग हाम्रो निर्माणाधीन अवस्थामा छ त्यो हिसाबले पनि अझ बढी जोखिम भएको हामीले महसुस गरेर मुख्य राजमार्गको 86 किलोमिटर राजमार्ग भित्र हामीले चाहिँ 21 वटा जोखिमयुक्त बढी जोखिम भएका एरिया पहिचान गरेर 18 ठाउँमा चाहिँ हामीले होल्डिङ सेन्टर राखेर त्यही अनुसारका त्यो होल्डिङ सेन्टरमा हेभी इक्विपमेन्ट तालिम प्राप्त जनशक्ति देखि लिएर अरु अब तत्काल रेस्पोन्सको लागि एम्बुलेन्स औषधि तत्काल इमर्जेन्सी खाद्यान्नहरू पानी वितरणको विषयहरूदेखि लिएर हैन बेसिक चाहिँ हाम्रो पूर्व तयारी भएको छ र यसको लागि विशेष गरेर हामी चाहिँ स्थानीय सरकारसँग समन्वय गरेर यो विपद पूर्व तयारीको कार्यक्रम र विपद त कुनै समय आइ नै हाल्छ हैन यसलाई हामीले रोक्न सकिँदैन र विपद आयो भने तत्काल खोज तथा उद्धारको लागि रेस्पोन्सको लागि चाहिँ हाम्रो टिम तयार छ।
The local administration has also identified 21 locations within Gajuri, Galchi, Dhunibesi municipality and Benighat Rorang rural municipality as highly vulnerable to landslides and road blockages. Based on the assessment of the District Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Committee, these sites along the Tribhuvan and Prithvi highways have been officially classified as high-risk areas for monsoon-related disasters. To prevent passengers from being stranded during highway closures, holding centers will be operated at 18 locations, including Khanikola, Mahadev Besi, Simle, Galchi Baireni, Tirodi Bazar and Maleku. The committee says the holding centers will provide safe shelter, food, drinking water, relief assistance and basic medical services until travel can safely resume. All local governments and concerned agencies have been instructed to keep emergency personnel, equipment and other essential resources on standby throughout the monsoon season. Authorities have also urged agencies responsible for electricity, drinking water, telecommunications and transportation services to ensure uninterrupted operations and to immediately repair roads and power infrastructure damaged by landslides or other monsoon-related disasters.
Heavy monsoon rainfall has triggered another landslide along Nepal's Mechi Highway, completely halting traffic at the Rajduali section. Repair work was already underway, but fresh rainfall has delayed efforts to reopen the route. The section has remained vulnerable since a major disaster last October. Authorities have diverted some vehicles through alternative routes while continuing efforts to restore traffic. The disruption highlights growing concerns over monsoon-related risks across Nepal. Nepal is entering a critical phase of the monsoon season with heavy rainfall warnings issued and authorities preparing for possible disasters. While emergency measures are being strengthened across the country, Kathmandu continues to face its own recurring monsoon challenge of flooded roads and waterlogged neighborhoods. Let's take a look.
Kathmandu Valley is among the fastest urbanizing cities in the world. Over the past decade, houses have expanded into almost every corner of the valley. In major urban areas, open spaces have become increasingly difficult to find. Experts say this rapid urbanization is affecting the city's environment and overall ecosystem. One example is the repeated flooding during the monsoon season. Rainwater needs open spaces to seep into the ground and flow naturally. But with limited open areas, rainwater directly enters drainage systems and then rivers and streams. This increases both the volume and speed of water flow, leading to flooding. The problem has been worsened by the practice of dumping waste into drains and rivers. Blocked waterways force rainwater into roads and into settlements. Every year, even normal rainfall leads to waterlogged roads, long traffic jams, difficulties for pedestrians, and flooding of physical structures.
अहिलेको काठमाडौँका विभिन्न क्षेत्रहरू विशेष गरी चाहिँ यो नदी किनारका होचा भूभागहरू र जहाँ चाहिँ ढल व्यवस्थापन अलि प्रभावकारी छैन त्यस्ता स्थानहरूमा चाहिँ बढी सानो पानी पर्दाखेरि पनि डुबान हुने अवस्था छ.
Experts have stressed the need to improve Kathmandu's drainage system to address monsoon flooding. In many areas, drainage capacity is already insufficient and careless waste disposal has made the situation more complicated. They also say rivers and streams in the valley have narrowed, leaving settlements along riverbanks and low-lying areas at higher risk.
तटीय क्षेत्रमा जुन हाम्रो अव्यवस्थित बस्तीहरू छन् त्यहाँ चाहिँ अलिकति डुबान हुने त्यसै गरी शहरी क्षेत्रमा पनि जहाँ चाहिँ अलिकति ढल निकास अलि राम्रो छैन अलि सानो छ त्यस्तोमा चाहिँ अलिकति बढी पानी पर्ने र डुबान हुने अवस्था छ. त्यस्तोमा चाहिँ अब हामीले मुख्य गर्नुपर्ने काम भनेको ढल निकासको समस्या अलि देख्छु मैले ढल निकासमा अलिकति काम गर्नुपर्ने देखिन्छ
Kathmandu's flooding is not a natural disaster alone. Experts say it is the result of weak infrastructure, unplanned urban development, and ineffective management. They warn that the capital's recurring flooding problem will continue unless authorities find long-term solutions.
That wraps up our issue today. And now the next segment. Reviving Nepal's economy has emerged as a major challenge for the government, with investor confidence and private sector participation seen as key to recovery. Prime Minister Balendra Shah has begun direct engagement with business leaders, raising hopes for reforms aimed at reducing administrative hurdles and encouraging investment. In today's cover story, we hear what industrialists and entrepreneurs expect from the government's economic agenda. You're with NTV World News Hour. Time now for cover story of the day. One of the biggest challenges for the near two-third majority government of Rashtriya Swatantra Party is reviving the economy. Boosting the confidence of domestic investors and attracting foreign investment by simplifying the administrative hassles is the only way forward towards a recovery. Prime Minister Balendra Shah himself has started direct dialogue in fact, with business community that has renewed hopes.
One of the key agendas of the 100-point work plan of the government is economic recovery and improving the environment for investment. Exactly after completing 100 days at the office, Prime Minister Balendra Shah has started direct dialogue with the private sector. Prime Minister Shah has initiated discussions with industrialists and business leaders to make economic reforms, investment promotion, and public-private cooperation more result-oriented. On Tuesday and Wednesday, Prime Minister Shah held consecutive meetings with representatives of major umbrella organizations of the business community. The discussions focused on creating an investment-friendly environment, policy reforms, increasing production, and accelerating economic activities.
मर्यादित वातावरणकै कुरा आयो अलिकति केही डर त्रास धेरै उद्यमी व्यवसायमा छ कि सरकार धरपकड गरिरहेछ भन्ने कुरा त्यसको लागि उहाँले स्पष्ट भन्नुभयो धरपकड गर्ने सरकारको कुनै नीति पनि छैन नियत पनि छैन र निजी क्षेत्रको लागि मर्यादित वातावरण काम गर्ने वातावरण बनाउन सरकार कटिबद्ध पनि छ तत्कालको लागि के सुझाव हो भन्दाखेरि हामीले कि यदि निजी क्षेत्रलाई कुनै पनि त्यस्तो यो इन्भेस्टिगेसनको दौरानमा धरपकड नगरिकन एउटा बरु अदालतबाट एन्टिसिपेटरी बेल अग्रिम जमानतको व्यवस्था भइदियो भने यसले निजी क्षेत्रलाई नि धेरै ठुलो एउटा कन्फिडेन्स बिल्डअप हुन्छ अहिलेको अवस्थामा.
The Prime Minister also expressed his commitment to advancing the private sector as a leading partner in the country's economic development, production growth and job creation. On Thursday, Prime Minister assured construction entrepreneurs that the government would address issues related to extending payment deadlines, contract management, timely implementation of projects, price adjustment, banking-related problems and other challenges facing the sector.
अध्यादेशबाट आगो खरिद ऐनमा हामीले असन्तुष्टि राखेका थियौं त्यो असन्तुष्टिलाई उहाँले चाहिँ अध्ययन गरेर अहिलेको यो जुन प्रतिस्थापन विधेयक छ हाउसमा पुगेको छ त्यसलाई धेरै सम्बोधन गरिसकेको स्थिति छ उहाँले चाहिँ क्षणिक हैन कि दीर्घकालीन रूपमा नै प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई कसरी सपोर्ट गर्न सकिन्छ र प्राइभेट सेक्टरबाट फेरि राष्ट्रलाई कसरी फाइदा पुग्न सक्छ भन्ने कुरामै हाम्रो छलफल रह्यो.
Business leaders have drawn the government's attention to legal complexities related to economic offenses, procedural hurdles, barriers to expanding investment, and practical difficulties in running businesses.
Prime Minister Saha assured them that the suggestions received would be carefully reviewed and that necessary reforms and facilitation measures would be introduced. The government also plans to continue consultations with stakeholders from the information technology, tourism and other sectors in the coming days. The private sector believes that this dialogue has created new optimism and environment of trust among investors. With camera person Pradyumna Dhungel and Siva Pangini, Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
In this context, we asked industrialists and business leaders what their expectations are from the government. Let's hear their views in today's Public Pulse.
सरकारसितको सहकार्य नै देखिएन भन्ने कुराहरू त थियो, तर हिजो एउटा उत्साहजनक कार्य चाहिँ नि भएको छ। निजी क्षेत्रका प्रतिनिधिहरूसित भेटघाट भएको छ। अब निजी क्षेत्रलाई आर्थिक क्षेत्रलाई अब सरकारले महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिकामा लिएर जान्छ भन्ने कुराहरू हामीले बुझेका छौं।
इकोनोमी हामीले जुन कुरा गरिराखेका छौं, सानावालालाई के समस्या भइरहेछ, ठुलोवालालाई के समस्याहरू छ, उनीहरुका समस्याका पहिचानहरू कतिवटा हामी जस्ता संघ संस्थाले गरेर उहाँलाई दिइसकेका छौं। त्यस्ता समस्या समाधानको लागि काम गर्नु पर्यो। निजी क्षेत्र यहाँ काठमाडौँमा मात्र हैन, गाउँ-गाउँसम्म छ। अब जुन पोलिसीहरुको प्रब्लम भइराखेको छ, त्यो पोलिसीहरुलाई चाहिँ अध्ययन गरेर कहाँनिर छ यो फास्ट ट्र्याकमा काम गरिदिनु पर्यो।
अहिलेको जति पनि युवा उद्यमीहरुको एउटा समस्या भन्ने चाहिँ के भन्दाखेरि एउटा नीतिगत सुधारको अपेक्षा राखेका छौं सबैले। त्यस्तै सहज व्यावसायिक वातावरणको खोजीमा छौं हामी र युवा मौलिक अवसरहरु चाहिँ नि सृजना हुनु पर्यो के। किन युवाहरू तपाईको काम गर्न रोजगारी गर्नलाई जतिकै तयार भयो भने एउटा मैत्रीपूर्ण र काम गर्ने वातावरण सृजना भयो भने चाहिँ विदेशबाट मेरो विचारमा आउने र लगानीको मैत्रीपूर्ण त्यस्तै एउटा चाहिँ नयाँ ऊर्जा र एउटा जागरुक साथ मान्छेहरु चाहिँ आउँछ जस्तो लाग्छ के।
प्रधानमन्त्रीज्यूले नीतिगत कुराहरूलाई चाहिँ अगाडि बढाउनलाई उहाँले गर्नु भएको छ, जसलाई उहाँले चाहिँ पक्का पनि अगाडि बढाइदिनुहुन्छ र निर्माण क्षेत्र चाहिँ चलायमान हुन्छ है। अब यो जुन आषाढ मसान्तपछि अब निस्किने नयाँ टेन्डरहरू, नयाँ कामहरू नयाँ तरिकाले निस्किने छ र आयोजनाहरू अब फेरि रुग्न हुने छैनन्। अब त्यसलाई गर्नको लागि हाम्रो सरकारले जुन सनसेट नियम ल्याएको छ, सनसेट लले पनि यसलाई गभर्न गर्छ र एकदम राम्रो विषय उठेको छ।
निजी क्षेत्र नै वास्तवमा एउटा डेभलपमेन्ट विकासको चाहिँ एउटा मेरुदण्ड भएको हुनाले कुनै पनि देशको भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि अब चाहिँ निजी क्षेत्रलाई पहिलाको जस्तो एउटा उसमा बाँधेर राख्दैन होला सरकारले।
And that concludes our cover story of the day. Now the remaining updates from National Front. A 25-year-old man attempted self-immolation outside the Department of Passports in Tripureshwar, Kathmandu on Wednesday. He is currently undergoing treatment at Bir Hospital. The man has been identified as Ganesh Nepali from Soru Rural Municipality 1 of Mugu, who is currently residing in Bhaktapur. According to reports, he had reached the passport office to apply for a passport. Eyewitnesses said Nepali had parked his motorcycle near the office gate and attempted self-immolation after Kathmandu Metropolitan Police placed a wheel lock on the vehicle. The Metropolitan Police said the action was taken because the motorcycle had been parked in a restricted area in violation of parking rules. The incident has drawn public attention, with discussions emerging over the difficulties people face while assessing public services and managing everyday pressures. Nepal's government has briefed the parliament on its 101st 100 days in office, saying it has advanced governance reforms, anti-corruption measures and digital public service delivery under Prime Minister Balendra Shah's administration. Government spokesperson and Education and Sports Minister Sashmit Pokhrel told lawmakers the government had introduced policy and legal reforms, streamlined ministries, expanded merit-based appointments and launched investigations into alleged illicit assets while reducing public spending.
राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप मुक्त सार्वजनिक प्रशासनको लागि हामीले युनियन व्यवस्था खारेज गरी प्रशासनलाई पूर्ण रूपमा राजनीतिक हस्तक्षेप मुक्त बनाइएको छ। सुशासन तथा भ्रष्टाचार नियन्त्रणमा केही कदमहरू लिएको छ। राजनीतिक पदाधिकारी तथा उच्च पदस्थ कर्मचारीको गैर कानुनी सम्पत्ति छानबिन गरी कारबाहीका लागि सिफारिस गर्न जाँचबुझ आयोग ऐन 2026 बमोजिम सम्पत्ति छानबिन आयोग गठन गरिएको छ। हालसम्म 11,000 भन्दा बढी सम्पत्ति विवरण तथा उजुरी सङ्कलन गरिएको छ। त्यसको अभिलेखीकरण र प्रारम्भिक विश्लेषण जारी भइसकेको छ र काम अगाडि बढिरहेको छ।
The Parliamentary Hearing Committee has started the hearing process for the proposed Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners of Nepal. A committee meeting held at Singapore today moved forward with the hearing process for Chief Election Commissioner nominee Man Bahadur Karki and Commissioners nominees Rajiv Subba and Guru Prasad Wagle. Committee Chair Bodh Narayan Shrestha said the public has been given 10 days to submit complaints or objections against the nominees. He said complaints can be submitted through electronic or other means with clear reasons and evidence within 10 days from the date of publication of the notice. The committee will open and distribute the received complaints among members for study during its meeting scheduled for Shravan 5 of Nepali calendar. Opposition lawmakers urged the committee to follow due process and avoid rushing the hearing process. Committee member Padma Aryal said hearings should be conducted through proper procedures, arguing that completing the process in a single day would not ensure effective scrutiny. Another committee member, Varshaman Pun, said the process should follow past parliamentary hearing practices. Nepali Congress has called for a cautious and priority-based approach to constitutional amendment, warning that changes made without clear objectives could create legal complications and deepen political polarization. Speaking at a program titled Nepali Congress Perspective on Constitutional Amendment at the party's central office in Sanipa, party president Gagan Kumar Thapa said any amendment process should begin with identifying national priorities and be guided by the country's long-term interests.
प्राथमिकता निर्धारण गरेर कुनै एउटा निश्चित वा प्रष्ट समस्यालाई सुधार्नका लागि संशोधनको प्रस्ताव गरेको हामी पाउँदैनौं। संविधानको समग्र अन्तर्वस्तुलाई एकैपटक संशोधनको एजेन्डा वा बहसको रूपमा प्रस्तुत गर्दा अप्रत्याशित संवैधानिक वा कानुनी जटिलताका साथै चरम दलीय ध्रुवीकरण मात्र निम्तिदैन, यसले हाम्रो समाज र भूगोललाई जोडेर राख्ने मूल आधारहरू नै भत्काउन सक्छ र समग्र शासन व्यवस्था नै अस्थिर बनाइदिन सक्छ भन्ने हाम्रो चिन्ता हो।
Beyond transport disruptions, the monsoon is also affecting Nepal's agricultural sector, where delayed rains have slowed seasonal farming activities. Nepal's Agriculture Ministry says rice planting is expected to gain pace after recent rainfall, following delays caused by a late monsoon. The ministry has prioritized clearing pending payments to dairy and sugarcane farmers. Officials also said bird flu affected farmers have received 510 million Nepali rupees in compensation so far.
हामी अहिले यहाँ आएको चाहिँ 3 महिना जति भयो। विशेष गरेर हामीसँग 3 तहको सरकार छ। 3 तहको सरकारको सहकार्यमा हामीले केन्द्र सरकारले चाहिँ मल आपूर्ति गर्ने काम गर्छ भने स्थानीय सरकार, प्रदेश सरकारले वितरणको काम गर्छ। सबैजना चाहिँ मिलेर नै हामीले 3 तहकै सरकारले काम गरिरहेका छौं र फर्टिलाइजरमा हाम्रो एउटा डेडिकेटेड टिमले नै काम गरिराख्नु भएको छ। हामीले कालो बजारी कहीँ कतै भेटाउनु भयो भने हामीलाई खबर गर्नुस्, त्यसमा हामी कारबाही गर्न कति पनि डगमग हुँदैन। आगामी दिनमा त्यो सबै सुरक्षाको खाद्य सुरक्षाको कुरालाई पनि मध्यनजर गर्दै हामीले हामीसँग भएका बाहिरबाट बसिराख्नु भएको डायस्पोरा, हामी यही भएका युवाहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी त्यो बाँझो खेतमा चाहिँ खेतीपाती गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ कार्ययोजना पनि बनाइराखेका छौं। हामीले किसानलाई कसरी सिँचाइ पुर्याउन सकिन्छ, कसरी कलेक्टिभ रूपमा काम गर्न सकिन्छ, विशेष गरेर दुई तीनवटा कुरामा चाहिँ हामीले नीतिगत रूपमा चाहिँ अस्ति मात्र छलफल भएको छ। सिँचाइ र कृषिलाई चाहिँ जोडेर त्यहाँ हामीले त्यो प्रोजेक्टमा काम गरेका छौं र सक्सेसफुल मोडल हो। त्यो मोडललाई चाहिँ अरु पनि ठूला आयोजनाहरुमा कसरी ल्याउन सकिन्छ त भन्ने कुरामा अस्ति मात्र छलफल भएको छ र सिँचाइ मन्त्रीज्यू र म हामी सानैले चाहिँ अब फिल्डमा गएर त्यसको अनुगमन गर्ने तयारीमा पनि छौं। विशेष गरेर अब उद्योग फस्टाउनु पर्छ। उद्योग अरु उद्योग मात्र होइन, उत्पादनसँग जोडिएको उद्योग फस्टायो भने मात्र नेपालको किसानहरूले चाहिँ सही मूल्य पाउने अवस्था रहन्छ। त्यसका निमित्त अब राज्यले नै सरकारले नै औद्योगिक क्षेत्रहरू अथवा कस्तो खालको उद्योग कहाँ खोल्ने र कुन कुन कच्चा पदार्थ कुन कुन क्षेत्रमा छन् भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ हामीले त्यसको निर्णय निकालेर आगामी दिनमा त्यसको लागि चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्न खोजिरहेछौं।
The ministry added that compensation has been provided to bird flu affected farmers, while pending payments to dairy and sugarcane farmers remain a priority. The Asian Development Bank (ADB) has projected Nepal's economic growth at 3.9% by July 2026. According to the ADB's latest outlook, Nepal's inflation is expected to remain at 3.2% during the same period. The report has projected economic growth to reach 4.5% in 2027, with inflation expected to rise to around 5%. The ADB also stated that Nepal recorded economic growth of 4.4% in 2025. The ADB said economic growth across the Asia-Pacific region is expected to slow in the coming year due to uncertainties in the global economy, rising prices and disruptions in supply chains. It's now time for international updates, but before that, let's do a recap of the headlines. Nepal's National Assembly passes 4 key bills. Public debt and procurement reforms take center stage. Government seeks private sector trust. Investors call for economic revival measures. Monsoon threats rise across Nepal. Floods and landslides test preparedness. Monsoon disasters killed dozens across India. Tropical storm Maysak flooding claims lives in China. US and Iran exchange fresh strikes. Strait of Hormuz tensions escalate. And France to face Morocco in the World Cup quarterfinal. Historic clash set for early Thursday. At least 600 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo have died from Ebola as the number of confirmed cases of the illness rose to 1,759 according to government data. The total numbers released on Wednesday were confirmed as of Tuesday, while 51 new cases and 20 deaths were recorded in the previous 24 hours. The total of those infected does not include 2 cases of illness reported in Kisangani, the capital of the Sopo province and one of the DR Congo's biggest cities. As the test results were being validated, the government's report said. They will be included in the official case total once confirmed. One of those 2 cases is linked to the village of Nia Nia in the Ituri province, where the first illnesses were reported. But the second illness does not appear to have a geographic link beyond Kisangani, according to the government. As the situation worsens, healthcare workers in the Ituri province, the hardest hit of the country's 3 eastern regions affected by the outbreak, are walking off their jobs to protest against delay in payments. South Korea's highest court on Thursday, July 9, upheld ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol's 7-year prison sentence over crimes tied to his botched 2024 martial law declaration and its chaotic aftermath. The case covered accusations that Yoon had obstructed cabinet deliberations and used 4 signatures of the Prime Minister in the lead up to the 2024 declaration, as well as using presidential security agents to block his own arrest after lawmakers had nullified it. The disgraced former president is already in detention while he appeals a separate life sentence for leading an insurrection with his martial law declaration, which he insists was motivated by the public interest. In the case brought before the Supreme Court, Yoon was accused of obstructing deliberations by convening only a select group of ministers for a meeting shortly before he declared martial law. Yoon's legal team expressed deep regret, accusing the Supreme Court of concluding the case without sufficient deliberation. The ex-president's lawyer planned to challenge the ruling on constitutional grounds and said they would raise a complaint. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said he clinched a uranium supply agreement while visiting Australia on Thursday, July 9, securing a fuel source that would play a crucial role in his nation's nuclear energy ambitions. Faced with an almost insatiable appetite for electricity in the world's most populous nation, Modi has outlined plans to substantially scale up nuclear power generation in the coming years. Australia lays claim to around 28% of the world's uranium resource, but legal hurdles and political sensitivities have hindered exports to India. The exports would fall under safeguards established by the International Atomic Energy Agency. India and Australia entered a nuclear cooperation agreement in 2015 that paved the way for uranium exports. India and Australia have grown considerably closer in recent years, partly driven by a joint desire to keep Beijing's military ambitions in check while cultivating trading partners outside China. Modi and Albanese also agreed to strengthen defense cooperation and to bolster supply chains for critical minerals. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
The International Monetary Fund has projected a modest slowdown in global economic growth over the next 2 years. The IMF forecast the global economy will expand by 3.0% in 2026 before recovering to 3.4% in 2027. The projection is lower than the average growth rate of 3.5% recorded in 2024 and 2025, but remains broadly in line with the IMF's April forecast. The fund says the slowdown reflects the economic impact of the conflict in the Middle East, although stronger demand driven by rapid advances in artificial intelligence and the global technology sector is expected to partly offset those effects. The IMF has also upgraded its outlook for China, forecasting economic growth of 4.6% in 2026 and 4.1% in 2027. According to the IMF, China's stronger than expected first quarter performance was supported by increased public infrastructure spending and robust growth in high-tech manufacturing and exports. However, the fund warns that higher global oil prices, persistent uncertainty, and longer-term structural challenges are likely to continue weighing on China's economic outlook. Malaysia and Thailand have agreed to deepen economic cooperation by developing a special border economic zone and strengthen cross-border transport links. The announcement came after the two countries resolved a trade dispute over seafood that had disrupted bilateral commerce. Thailand had restricted imports of Malaysian sea bass over concerns about chemical residues, while Malaysia responded by temporarily suspending imports of some Thai shrimp due to food safety concerns. The two leaders said improving infrastructure will be key to facilitating travel, reducing transport costs, and boosting trade along their shared border. They also agreed to revive ferry services between Thailand's Satun province and Malaysia's Kuala Perlis and upgrade railway connectivity. India has removed import duties on several key components used in the manufacturing of smartphones and other electronic devices in a move aimed at strengthening its electronics. The government has scrapped import duties of 5 and 7.5% on select components, including parts used in wireless charging modules, displays for medical devices, and automobiles and lithium-ion cells. The exemption will remain in effect until March 31st, 2029. The policy is expected to lower production costs and benefit major global manufacturers such as Apple and Xiaomi, both of which have significantly expanded their manufacturing operations in India. Industry experts say the duty exemption on lithium-ion cells also could attract fresh investment in domestic battery production for consumer electronics and electric vehicles. The latest measure supports India's broader goal of expanding its electronic manufacturing sector to $500 billion by the 2030 fiscal year.
And now the sports update. Karolina Muchova has booked a place in the Wimbledon women's singles final after defeating Coco Gauff 6-2, 1-6, 7-6 in a dramatic semi-final. The Czech player edged a thrilling deciding set tie-break to become the first finalist of this year's championships. The second semi-final is between Marta Kostyuk and Linda Noskova, with the winners set to face Muchova in Saturday's final. In the wheelchair singles, Britain's Alfie Huet advanced to the semi-finals with a straight sets victory over China's Ji Zhenshu. Meanwhile, Britain's Henry Patton is set to compete in the men's doubles semi-final later on Thursday, while British wildcard Arthur Ferry takes on Alexander Zverev in the men's singles semi-final on Friday. And now the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. And before we wrap up, here's the reminder of our top stories. National Assembly passes 4 key bills, public debt and procurement reforms take center stage. Government seeks private sector trust, investors call for economic revival measures. Monsoon threats rise across Nepal, floods and landslides test preparedness. Monsoon disasters kill dozens across India. Tropical storm Maysak flooding claims lives in China. US and Iran exchange fresh strikes. Strait of Hormuz tensions escalate. And France to face Morocco in the World Cup quarterfinal. Historic clash set for early Thursday. That's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. This is me, Singh Thamang, signing off. Thank you for staying with us. Good night.